Chapter 4057. Goodbye. Yun Xiao glanced at Ling Xiao, who was behind Green Lotus, swordswoman. She gritted her teeth and left. If she didn't want to die, she had to leave. Qi Yaoguang, who was hiding in the distance, saw this scene and his face turned pale. Luckily, I did make a move. This Green Lotus swordswoman is more terrifying than I thought. Qi Yaoguang once wanted to kill Ling Xiao, although it was only for a moment. He almost made a move, because Ling Xiao's performance was too outstanding. Qi Yaoguang didn't want to have such a terrifying enemy in the future, but after seeing Green Lotus, swordswoman's strength, she didn't dare to make a move. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to escape death. Just at this moment, her subordinate sent a distress signal, saying that they had encountered Yunfeng. She turned and left. She would discuss the purchase of the Great River Star with Ling Xiao later. Green Lotus, swordswoman, watched Qi Yaoguang leave. Then she looked at Ling Xiao and said, "Follow me." Okay. Ling Xiao didn't have any resistance to Green Lotus, swordswoman. If Green Lotus, swordswoman, wanted to harm him, she wouldn't have to use such a troublesome method. She would just kill him. It was very simple. Green Lotus, swordswoman, brought Ling Xiao to a hidden place and released a talisman. This place seemed to have turned into another world. This talisman contains a small world? Ling Xiao knew that talismans were mysterious, but he didn't expect that a small world could be contained in a talisman. Although this small world wasn't big, it was just like the space of a storage ring. But the circulation system of this small world was complete. Unlike a storage space, sometimes it could only store dead things. This place was very beautiful. The lake was sparkling. On the lake, there were lotus leaves and hitiantian. At the end of the wooden bridge, there were a few small houses. They were all very clean. Green Lotus, swordswoman, brought Ling Xiao to the outside of the small house. She took out a cushion for Ling Xiao to sit on. She also sat on one. Then she smiled and said, "When I met you in King Chong of the Western Paradise, I was amazed by your talent. I was just amazed by your talent. I never thought that you would have some kind of special connection with me. If I'm not wrong, you'll be 18 years and 9 months old this year, right?" "That's right." Ling Xiao nodded, thinking that he had guessed correctly. If he only had talent, the Green Lotus swordswoman would not have treated him so well. It was as if he was treating his own family. There must be another layer of relationship here. He didn't ask. Instead, he quietly waited for Green Lotus, sword maiden, to speak. "Senior Hongqi, you must know him, right?" Green Lotus, swordswoman, smiled. "You know Grandpa. How could Ling Xiao not know him? If Hongqi hadn't adopted him, he wouldn't have survived." His feelings for Hongqi were even deeper than his parents, whom he had never met. However, it was a pity that there was no news of Hongqi after they met at the White Tiger continent. A whole 18 years. Although he didn't say it out loud, his heart was filled with nostalgia for his grandfather. "You do know him. It seems that I didn't get it wrong." Green Lotus, swordswoman, smiled gently. "To tell you the truth, 16 years ago, ancestor Qi Hua, Zhao Fengyin, and I became senior Hongqi's disciples. He was like a second parent to the three of us. He didn't just teach us martial arts. He also allowed us to grow from small pawns to where we are today. More importantly, he allowed us to take revenge with our own hands. You killed 3 of our common enemies. He has given us a new lease of life, and we will never forget it." "Grandpa became your master? That's impossible. I know Grandpa's abilities. How could he be your master?" Ling Xiao was in disbelief. "Master said that he had abandoned all his abilities for some reason. He even almost lost his life. It was your parents who saved him and gave you to him to raise. Later on, it was because of your indomitable spirit that he regained his confidence. Finally, he walked step by step towards a continent where he had once been glorious." Green Lotus, swordswoman, explained. "Did Grandpa leave again?" Ling Xiao sighed. "He left 6 years ago. When he left, he was most concerned about you, so he asked us to help look for you. It wasn't until today that we really found you." Green Lotus swordswoman smiled and said, "Do you know how excited I was? I fulfilled Master's wish before he left. I was extremely excited. It's good that Grandpa is fine." Ling Xiao was much more mature than before. If it was in the past, he might have frantically searched for Hong Chi's whereabouts. But now, he knew that everyone had their own path to walk. His parents were like that. Hong Chi was like that. He was the same. In the end, they would be separated. He believed in this. But the premise was that he had to cultivate desperately. "Seeing you so calm, I'm relieved." Green Lotus swordswoman was really afraid that Ling Xiao would cry and ask for Grandpa. Where could she find him? But now she was relieved. Ling Xiao was obviously much stronger than she had imagined. What was Grandpa's strength when he left? Ling Xiao asked curiously. In fact, when he was in the Divine Phoenix continent, he had a rough idea of Hong Chi's experience. It was just that he was not so clear. Hong Chi was once a top powerhouse. To be honest, I don't know how strong he was. Green Lotus swordswoman smiled bitterly and said, "We were like candlelight and the sun in front of him. I'm even sure that Master's strength was stronger than most people in the City of Gold." "Including the Golden Emperor?" Ling Xiao asked. "I'm not too sure about that, because even I have never seen the Golden Emperor, let alone know his strength. Powerhouses of that level basically won't show their true faces to others. Most of the time they are in seclusion. It's harder than ascending to heaven to see them. But I have seen powerhouses second only to the Golden Emperor. What I'm sure of is that compared to your grandpa, they are just insects on the ground. They are not on the same level at all. I even suspect that if your grandpa were to make a move, the 4 major domains would be destroyed by him." Hearing this, Ling Xiao smiled. The stronger Hong Chi was, the safer he would be. There was no need for him to worry. What he needed to do now was to make himself stronger. Then he would be qualified enough to follow the path of Hong Chi and his parents, and his sister, Ji Lingyue, whom he had never met. But his sister should be in the Black Tortoise continent. If she must be in the 4 domains and 9 realms. The Liquor Demon's sword also said the same. Perhaps even the Liquor Demon's sword thought that he had forgotten about his sister. But in fact, he had always remembered it in his heart. It was just that because he was not strong enough, he could not figure out the specific situation of his sister. And he could not save her. Everything had to be done in secret. But he had enough reason to believe, as long as he passed the 4 major domains. Chapter 4058. Aside from his sister, Shen Dian, Ling Jiaojiao, Yufanghua, and a few of his good brothers and sisters were all waiting for him. If Ling Xiao didn't become stronger, how could he meet them? Those few people were all geniuses with outstanding talents. If he was weaker than them, it would be a great shame. Thank you for telling me all this, Senior. I'm actually very satisfied to be able to hear Grandfather's news." Ling Xiao said with a smile on his face. Sword Maiden Azure Lotus said, "Actually, the 3 of us wanted to follow our master and leave the Black Tortoise continent. Unfortunately, he was too weak, not to mention going to the next continent. Even if we were to go to the Black Tortoise continent, we weren't considered the top existences. What our master wanted was for the 3 of us to follow you. He believed that with you around, our overall strength would soar by leaps and bounds. This old man really knows how to cause trouble for others." Ling Xiao said with a bitter smile, "I'm only an early 5th rank divine core warrior. How could I help the 3 of you? Is that even possible? I believe what our master said. Besides, I've investigated your situation. Your talent is the most frightening one we've ever seen. In just a few years, you've reached your current level. I believe that it won't be long before you surpass us. At that time, we'll be basking in your glory. Therefore, right now, the 3 of us have promised to protect you with everything we have. If you need anything in the future, just tell us. We'll go through fire and water for you." After saying that, Sword Maiden Azure Lotus actually bowed. Don't mention it. Ling Xiao quickly held onto Sword Maiden Azure Lotus and said, Senior, you're trying to make me feel better, no matter what my grandfather said. All three of you are my benefactors. That will never change. If I have the ability, I'll definitely help the three of you break through. Even if you're not my disciples, it's still the same. Since you're my disciples, I'll do the same. Right at this moment, Ling Xiao was feeling really happy. With Sword Maiden Azure Lotus, Ancestor Scarlet Flame, and Zhao Fengyan helping him. Even when he arrived at the Golden City, no one would dare to do anything to him. As for Di Tuatian, that was even more impossible. Of course, he wouldn't leave the revenge to the three of them. He had promised to personally avenge Jian Qin and Chu Ling. He wouldn't break his promise. Moreover, Di Tuatian indeed deserved to die. Ling Xiao didn't feel that there was anything wrong with Green Lotus, Swordswoman's respect. He was the Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Empire. As an emperor, he still needed to be domineering. His current strength was indeed inferior to Green Lotus Swordswoman, but he would catch up very soon. The gap between the two of them was not as wide as one would imagine. Of course, he wasn't the kind of person who would take advantage of others' respect to order them around. His grandfather was his grandfather. He was him. There was a relationship between the two, but they could not be completely confused. He wanted Green Lotus Swordswoman, Forefather Scarlet Flame, and Zhao Fengyan to truly respect him. It was not because of his grandfather. Senior Green Lotus, from today onwards, let's pretend that we're not related to my grandfather. You guys go about your business. If I really need help, I'll ask for it. Green Lotus Swordswoman and the other two hiding in the dark were much more helpful to him than out in the open, because once they were out in the open, they would be easily targeted. No matter what he did, he would be restrained. That's good too. Then you don't have to call me Senior in the future. It's too distant. Just call me Big Sister Green Lotus. Green Lotus, Swordswoman smiled. All right, Big Sister Green Lotus. The Green Lotus Swordswoman was much older than Ling Xiao, and she was also stronger than him, so he called her Big Sister. There was nothing wrong with it. I didn't expect to have a good younger brother, although it might be a little disrespectful to Master. But I can feel that your potential is even more terrifying than Master's. In the future, you will definitely become a stronger existence than Master. Green Lotus Swordswoman said from the bottom of her heart, That's a matter for the future. Right now, I'm just a weakling. Ling Xiao would not be complacent just because of a few words of praise from Green Lotus Swordswoman. He knew his situation best. He would not be proud, nor would he be discouraged. Step by step, he walked forward steadily. Good boy, we really didn't misjudge you. In fact, even without your grandfather, I'm willing to keep you safe with your talent. Green Lotus Swordswoman was very satisfied with Ling Xiao's performance. A flower in a greenhouse will not be able to withstand torture. That's why I'm thinking, Big Sister Green Lotus, just like today. If you don't have to fight, try not to. Unless it's something that concerns my life, let me deal with it myself. Since he had a backer, he had to use it, but he couldn't abuse it. After all, Green Lotus Swordswoman and the other two were not the strongest warriors in the Golden Heavenly region. If he abused them, he would only be digging his own grave. But with these three backers, no matter what he did in the future, he would be confident. At least, he wouldn't be so afraid of warriors below the Heavenly Core Realm. After that, the two chatted for a long time. Ling Xiao gave a brief account of what had happened to him, but he still hid many things. For example, the martial soul of Tyrant and the heart of gold. These were all things that could cost him his life. He hadn't spent much time with Green Lotus Swordswoman. Who could be sure that Green Lotus Swordswoman wouldn't fall out with him because of these things? Of course, it would be better if he was the one who measured the heart of a gentleman with his own mean measure. He didn't like to doubt others, but this was the most basic rule in the world. Green Lotus Swordswoman also briefly told him about her situation. What surprised Ling Xiao was that Green Lotus Swordswoman was still single. She did have a boyfriend once, but because of different ideologies, they broke up in the end. Since then, Green Lotus Swordswoman no longer had the heart to make friends with men. She closed her heart. Ling Xiao sighed, but he couldn't help Green Lotus Swordswoman with this kind of thing. In this aspect, he was still a beginner. Oh, right. Big Sister Green Lotus, what is your cultivation realm? Ling Xiao had always been concerned about this, and he was very curious about it. Well, you'll know in the future. Green Lotus Swordswoman smiled and said, what you should be more concerned about now is your own cultivation realm. From what I heard just now, it's because you used a forbidden skill that caused your cultivation realm to drop. Your soul was injured because of that, and it hasn't recovered yet, right? That's fine. I can help you with the injury to your soul. In my early years, I cultivated a secret skill that specializes in healing soul injuries. It's for myself. I didn't expect it to come in handy today. As for your cultivation realm, I think I can help you restore it to the 6th level of the divine core realm. Are you willing to do it? Forget it. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, external help will cause my foundation to be unstable, and it's not good for me when I enter the reincarnation cycle. I believe in my own cultivation ability, and I'll be able to restore it to its original state very soon. Good, you have a backbone and you're smart. Many warriors who aren't confident in themselves often wish to use pills or other people's help to increase their cultivation realm. They are eager to break through. When they reach the divine physique realm, they will feel that it's troublesome. They wish they could destroy their cultivation realm and start all over again. Chapter 4059. Ling Xiao, what are you going to do next? Azure Lotus Swordswoman looked at Ling Xiao and said that Yun Xiao should have left. I can't feel her aura anymore, but if she dares to appear again, I will kill her for you. After all, with your current cultivation, it's too difficult to deal with her. As for Yun Feng, I think you can try first. If it doesn't work, I will help you. No hurry. I want to find 3 drops of Beast God's blood first and start practicing the 12 Divine Beast technique. Ling Xiao's goal is very clear. The 3 drops of Beast God's blood are the most important factor in this assessment. For the 3 drops of Beast God's blood, he can even delay his trip to Golden City. Okay, then like before, I will secretly help you. You work hard. If you encounter trouble that you can't solve, I will show up. Azure Lotus Swordswoman nodded and gently clapped her hands to release Ling Xiao. By the way, Sister Azure Lotus, are Zhanlong and the others safe? Before leaving, Ling Xiao asked. I didn't expect you to be so loyal. Don't worry. Zhanlong and the others have already left in order not to be your burden. They are waiting outside. Azure Lotus Swordswoman smiled. That's good. Hearing this, Ling Xiao was relieved. Then, according to the map he got from Hinajiko, he began to look for the 3 drops of Beast God's blood. Because of the map, it didn't take long for him to feel a clear energy fluctuation. Even the Beast God's blood in his body was excited, as if it was responding. This was a very large cave, and there were traces of man-made construction, and it's very hidden. It doesn't seem to be built by the great river bandits, because it has a long history and the architectural style is wrong. In the large cave, a stone slab is floating. The stone slab is floating in the air in an irregular trajectory. On the stone slab, there is a white ball of light. Inside the ball of light, there is a drop of blood. The drop of blood has the aura of the beast god. It can't be wrong, it's the beast god's blood. Ling Xiao is a little excited. He saved people before. Now it's time to do something for himself. Once he starts practicing the 12 divine beast technique, Ling Xiao believes that his cultivation will increase. His strength would increase exponentially. At that time, it would not be impossible to find a way to kill Yin Feng. To make the impossible possible, wasn't that what Ling Xiao wanted to do? He took a few steps forward and was about to soar into the air when his face suddenly changed and his figure flickered. He returned to his original position. Whoosh! Whoosh! At the position where he had just arrived, there was actually a formation diagram. Streaks of sharp sword qi shot out from within. If Ling Xiao hadn't reacted quickly enough, those sword qi would have been enough to tear his body apart. He could sense that the strength of these sword energies was no weaker than an attack from an 8th-level divine core warrior. It was too terrifying. Ling Xiao was not in a hurry to rush over. Instead, he activated his Taiji eye and observed carefully. Just now, because he was too anxious, he actually neglected this point. Now that he took a closer look, the ground was densely packed with all kinds of traps. It was obvious that the person who hid the beast god's blood didn't want others to easily obtain it. Beast god's blood! At this moment, a cry of surprise came from outside the cave. 2 people had actually appeared. They were both Qi Yaoguang's subordinates. One of them was Hulai. Ling Xiao knew his name. The other one was a stranger. Ling Xiao didn't know his name. After these 2 men appeared, before Hulai could do anything, the other man had already dashed toward the beast god's blood. Ling Xiao didn't have time to stop him. Whoosh! 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 Numerous sword qi shot out from different angles, turning the warrior into a beehive. The shattered corpse fell to the ground and was burned by the terrifying flames. In the end, not a single piece of it was left. This man is a perfect Earth Core warrior, but he couldn't stop me. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. Luckily, he didn't act rashly just now, or else he would have ended up like that. Bastard, why didn't you stop him? When Hulai saw his comrade being killed, he immediately became furious and vented all his anger on Ling Xiao. Idiot! Ling Xiao looked at Hulai with disdain and said, "Did I let him go? Besides, didn't you come here for the Great River Star? You want to fight with me for the beast god's blood." He was afraid of Qi Yaoguang, but he didn't put Hulai in his eyes. Presumptuous! Hulai roared and was about to attack. Ling Xiao said coldly, "If you don't want both of us to die here, then it's best not to attack. The traps here are much more complicated than you think." Hulai was stunned, but he didn't care. He still punched at Ling Xiao. A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Since others wanted to attack him, then don't blame him for being impolite. Whoosh! His figure flashed, and he was already out of the cave. At the same time, he released the slaughterhouse of God and Devil Seal. When this move was used, all the traps in the cave were triggered. Countless, densely packed, sword qi pierced towards Hulai. Hulai was so frightened that he rushed out frantically. However, Ling Xiao blocked the entrance and blasted him back with a punch. "Damn it! How dare you attack the people of the Sky Demon Ghost region? Our young miss won't let you off." Hulai roared. However, his body was gradually being torn apart. Even if he was stronger than the other person, he still couldn't resist that terrifying array formation attack. That wasn't an ordinary trap. "Afraid of you? Who do you think I am?" Ling Xiao sneered and watched as Hulai's body was completely destroyed. Then he stopped attacking and walked back into the cave. "Disciple, release the aura of your beast god's blood." The Yuan Venerate suddenly reminded him. "Understood." Ling Xiao understood what the Yuan Venerate meant. The trap here was obviously to select a suitable person to obtain the beast god's blood. What was a suitable person? Of course, it was a martialist who had already obtained the beast god's soul and awakened the beast god's blood. Ling Xiao happened to be such a person. He conjured his quintessential origin energy and entered the unbounded heavenly rat soul transformation. The aura of the beast god's blood filled the entire cave. Then he tried to take the first step, ready to retreat at any time. However, nothing happened. Just as the Yuan Venerate and he had speculated, the trap here wouldn't release the person with the beast god's blood. As such, Ling Xiao successfully obtained the drop of beast god's blood. It was no wonder that the Great River Bandits hadn't taken it away after such a long time. Obviously, the Great River Bandits simply couldn't do anything about it. Next location. After obtaining the first drop of beast god's blood, Ling Xiao moved on to the second target. He had to be thankful that he had obtained the map from Daisy. Otherwise, even if he had the Tai Chi eye, he would definitely be exhausted to death in this place that was as dense as spider webs. After about 20 minutes, Ling Xiao arrived at the next location indicated on the map. This wasn't a cave. It was actually a room. The room was shrouded in a fog array, unless someone accidentally barged in. Chapter 4060. This time there wasn't a stone slab in the room, but a huge stone pillar. On top of the stone pillar, there was also a glowing ball. Inside the glowing ball was a drop of beast god's blood. However, there were 2 men in the room. They were men Ling Xiao knew, 2 of Qi Yaoguang's men. Qi Yaoguang only had 6 men. Ling Xiao had killed 2 of them, so there were only 4 left. As for the 2 men in front of him, he didn't know their names. When he discovered these 2 men, they discovered him at the same time. Brat were the ones who found the beast god's blood get lost. Apart from Qi Yaoguang, it seemed like all the men from the heavenly demon ghost region were very rude. Damn it! Not only did these 2 men speak rudely, they also unleashed their terrifying killing intent at the same time. It was obvious that he wanted to kill Ling Xiao at the slightest disagreement. Get lost! If it wasn't for the young miss telling us not to kill you, we would have killed you long ago. Seeing Ling Xiao didn't move, the other man shouted. Ling Xiao obviously wouldn't leave. He continued walking forward, and easily walked past a few traps. He arrived in front of the 2 men. The traps here weren't formations, they were just ordinary traps. Therefore, they were easy to deal with. You should listen to your young miss. Don't provoke me. While I'm still in a good mood, get lost, or else I'll make you bleed. There was nothing to discuss. The beast god's blood, he had to get it, even if he had to offend the heavenly demon ghost region. Ling Xiao wouldn't hesitate. The 2 men looked at each other and sneered. One of them said, "Looks like you're just SOSO. Just for the beast god's blood. You're willing to gamble with your life. The young miss has overestimated you." The other man said, "We're all reputable men in the heavenly demon ghost region. How dare you provoke us like this? Looks like you don't want to live anymore. Do whatever you want. If you want to fight, I don't want to waste my time with you." Ling Xiao had already taken out the Eastern Victory Sky Sword and Eastern Victory Demon Sword. One-on-one, it would be difficult for him to fight a peak 7th Divine Core Warrior. The same thing happened during his fight with Diying. The battle with Cloud Shield was a special case. Cloud Shield was already injured, which was why it was so easy to deal with him. Moreover, it wasn't a one-on-one battle, but a one-on-2 battle. Ling Xiao naturally did not dare to underestimate his opponent. He held 2 swords with both hands. Tyrannical and demonic coexisted, coupled with the transformation of the everlasting, heavenly rat beast soul. Right now, he was very strong. Die. The 2 of them attacked at the same time, not giving Ling Xiao any chance at all. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao. One of them was holding a long saber. That long saber was emitting a terrifying stench of blood. The saber chi was released, transforming into a blood-red crescent that slashed towards Ling Xiao. The other person did not have a weapon. His hand turned into a claw and grabbed at the air like an eagle. At the same time, an eagle martial soul was released from his back. Bang, bang, bang. Ling Xiao brandished the East Victorious Heaven Sword and East Victorious Demonic Sword in his hands and clashed with the 2 of them at the same time. True essence collided with each other, and the traps on the ground were all triggered. Some were even directly destroyed. The 3 of them didn't seem to care about this. Seeing that he had failed to kill Ling Xiao with 1 blow, he was shocked. The expressions of the 2 of them became even gloomier. They boasted that they were strong, but they couldn't easily kill Ling Xiao. Moreover, they had to join forces. This was indeed a little embarrassing. "I must kill you." The person holding the saber was furious. The long saber in his hand slashed out 9 times in a row. Bloody battle of the 9 regions. The furious saber chi tore through the air, emitting a ghostly wail and wolf howl. The 9 saber chi completely shattered the hidden weapons that were pouncing towards them. They crazily charged towards Ling Xiao like an inescapable net. wanting to completely cut Ling Xiao into pieces. The other person was also serious. Amidst the furious roar, countless claws grabbed at the sky. The saber chi and the claw force did not cancel each other out. It was enough to show the ingenuity of the two of them. Ling Xiao's expression still did not change. As he retreated, he waved the two swords in his hands to block the attacks of the two of them. However, the Tai Chi eye was staring at the two of them, looking for the flaws in their attacks. Only by finding the flaws could he win in one move. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to defeat these two people at the same time. These two people clearly had a lot of blood on their hands. Each of them was more brutal than the other. Each of them was colder than the other. No wonder they came from the heavenly demon, ghost region. They had probably killed at least tens of thousands of people. If it were any other early 5th level divine core warriors, they would have been scared witless. They would have peed in their pants by now. They wouldn't even be able to fight back and would be scared to death. But Ling Xiao was still Ling Xiao. Facing such a murderous aura, he still remained calm. He didn't show any signs of fear. Right at this moment, the room was filled with murderous aura. Murderous aura filled the air. It was as if countless ferocious ghosts were roaring at the same time. It also looked like a battlefield where millions of people were killing each other. It actually gave people the illusion of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Divine saber of the blood sea. Suddenly, the man holding the saber let out a furious roar. He finally unleashed his final killing attack. Holding the saber with both hands, he forcefully slashed down. The ground started to collapse. The horrifying bloody aura kept pressing down on Ling Xiao. It even condensed into a huge bloody saber. "I'm coming too." The other man wanted to cooperate with his partner. He immediately transformed into his beast soul. He was just an ordinary beast soul warrior, not a beast god warrior. But this didn't stop him from being terrifying after transforming. A black aura was unleashed from his body. A pair of huge claws that looked like the claws of a peerless demon viciously grabbed towards Ling Xiao. It was filled with an ancient evil and murderous aura. "Humph!" Ling Xiao coldly harumphed. Then he struck out with both swords. He immediately unleashed the innate fiend god seal. Bloodthirst of the heavenly demons. This was the only way he could fight against these two men. Violent attacks wreaked havoc in the room. Almost all of the traps were destroyed. In the next moment, Qi Yaoguang's two men suddenly realized that Ling Xiao was nowhere to be seen. When they turned around, they realized that Ling Xiao had slipped away. Ling Xiao didn't plan to continue this meaningless fight, because he had obtained the second drop of Beast God's blood. Just as he blocked the attacks from the two men, a snake, head behind Ling Xiao, quickly bit the ball of light and pulled it into his Dongsheng Emperor ring. Then he left. It wasn't easy to kill those two men. He didn't want to torture himself half to death and miss out on the real good stuff in the end. Seeing Ling Xiao leave, the beast god's blood disappeared. Qi Yaoguang's two men were so angry that they almost vomited blood. "Blood knife, I can't take this lying down. If I see him again, I'll kill him." "Eagle Claw, you're not the only one who can't take this lying down. I can't take it either. But Miss might be right. This guy is too cunning. We joined forces and only focused on fighting. We didn't expect him to target the beast god's blood. Damn it." The two men chased after him, but Ling Xiao was long gone. If Ling Xiao wanted to escape, how could they catch up with him? Let's find him together. Although I don't want to admit it, that guy is really scary. Neither of us is a match for him alone. If we're alone, I'm afraid we'll be killed by him. Chapter 4061. You're right. Eagle Claw nodded. He absolutely agreed with Blood Knife's words. Ling Xiao's strength was beyond their expectations. One-on-one, neither of them was Ling Xiao's opponent. Only by working together could they possibly defeat Ling Xiao. Then, the two of them chased after Ling Xiao's tracks. Ling Xiao shook off Blood Knife and Eagle Claw. He still had lingering fears. That, who Lai from before, was actually stronger than these two. But because of his carelessness, he was destroyed by the traps. This caused him to underestimate these people. After the battle just now, he understood that Qi Yaoguang's subordinates were really not simple. He absolutely could not underestimate them. Otherwise, he would definitely be the unlucky one. Not far ahead, there was the energy fluctuation released by the third drop of blood. To ordinary people, this fluctuation was very light. But to Ling Xiao, a beast god martial artist, this fluctuation was very intense. He felt it very clearly. His speed suddenly increased as he rushed in that direction. He kept holding the sheepskin map in his hand. At this point, the map could be considered to be retired. What happened next was his own business. About 7 or 8 minutes later, Ling Xiao arrived near an underground river. He directly jumped down. Under the river, there was actually an independent space completely covered by a barrier. It was incomparably huge. If it was anyone else, it would be hard to imagine that the third drop of blood would be here. In this space, there were no traps, but there was a fish, a very ferocious-looking fish. The fish's appearance was very similar to a shark, but it had beautiful scales like dragon scales. Ling Xiao could sense that the third drop of blood was in the dragon scale shark's body. Damn it, they really know how to arrange it. Ling Xiao laughed bitterly in his heart. Although there were no more traps, there was a ferocious dragon scale shark. If he couldn't defeat it, it was almost impossible to get the third drop of blood. This dragon scale shark had the strength of a complete Earth core realm. And generally speaking, monsters of the same cultivation level were much stronger than human martial artists. But for the third drop of blood, Ling Xiao really had to fight with this dragon scale shark. Let's do it! Taking a deep breath, Ling Xiao instantly entered the everlasting, heavenly rat beast soul transformation state. Then he released his sky tyrant martial spirit. Anyway, there were no outsiders here. Under the power of the sky tyrant martial spirit, he could easily kill the dragon-scaled shark. Behind him, an illusory universe appeared. A terrifying pressure from ancient times enveloped the entire underwater world. The dragon-scale shark seemed to have sensed danger. With bloodshot eyes, he roared and pounced on Ling Xiao. It was as if it wanted to swallow Ling Xiao to relieve the fear in its heart. "I'm sorry, big guy. Who asked you to swallow the beast god's blood? Sky tyrant, bloodthirst god, and devil." As the tyrant martial spirit's energy was completely poured in an instant, a god stepped out from the universe. It was as huge as a star. Facing the incoming dragon-scaled shark, he slapped it with his palm. Upon seeing this, the dragon-scale shark immediately turned tail and fled. But how could he possibly escape the fiend god's unparalleled ferocious might? Whoosh! However, right at this moment, a powerful fist energy came from the darkness. Such terrifying strength, it was obviously something only a heavenly core warrior could possess. Before the force was removed, Ling Xiao could already feel the threat of death. His muscles and bones were deformed by the terrifying force, and they were all caved in. Facing such an attack, Ling Xiao didn't panic. After all, the dragon-scaled shark wouldn't be able to escape. If that was the case, he would just have to deal with this powerful warrior first. The fiend god turned around and blocked in front of Ling Xiao with his palm. But even so, the opponent's fist energy still destroyed the fiend god in an instant and landed on Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao was knocked onto the dragon-scaled shark's body. Both of them were sent flying away. Pooh! Ling Xiao coughed out a mouthful of blood. Then he quickly swallowed a healing pill. This punch was too terrifying. If he hadn't used the sky tyrant divine demon to block it, perhaps his soul would have been shattered by this punch. Poor dragon-scaled shark, its body was smashed into a meat patty. A bloody mouth appeared in the air and swallowed the dragon-scaled shark whole. The third drop of blood was now in his hands. "Yun Feng, I didn't expect you to come all the way here." Ling Xiao stared the man in front of him coldly. He was the Great River Bandit's great chief, Yun Feng. No wonder the punch just now was so terrifying. If he hadn't unleashed the sky tyrant martial soul, this punch would have forced him to use Life Rewind or Rising from the Ashes. Yun Feng's face was cold and murderous. He said coldly, "Kid, hand over the Great River Star and the beast God's blood. I'll give you a quick death, or else you'll have to suffer the most terrifying pain in this world." Why? Because you're the great chief of the river bandits? Or because you're stronger than me? Ling Xiao said with a disdainful smile. I, Ling Xiao, won't give up the things I've obtained so easily. Don't think too much about it. Yun Feng's face darkened. From the moment Ling Xiao appeared, he didn't put Ling Xiao in his eyes at all. But the blood-colored thunder god later made him suffer a loss. After that, Ling Xiao escaped his pursuit with a terrifying speed. In his opinion, Ling Xiao was just relying on some small tricks. He didn't have the strength to fight with him. What he thought was right. But if Ling Xiao didn't want to die, he really couldn't do anything. I can spare your life. You just need to give me 2 things. Yun Feng took a step back. That punch just now couldn't kill Ling Xiao. To be honest, it was difficult for him to confirm that he could kill Ling Xiao. Therefore, he only wanted the things and didn't want to kill. But at the same time, he had already urged his true origin, preparing to explode with a thunderous attack, because he knew that Ling Xiao would definitely not agree. Although they had only met once, he already knew Ling Xiao's character very well. Ling Xiao didn't speak, looking for an escape route. It was too unwise to fight face to face with Yun Feng now. His idea was very simple. First, he would find a safe place to practice the 12 divine beast technique. Then, he would try to find a way to kill Yun Feng. After all, Yun Feng was the leader of the Great River Bandits. If he didn't kill him, the mission sent by the Golden City wouldn't be considered completed. Want to escape? You don't have that chance. Great River Divine Fist. The same martial skill, when executed by different people, would have completely different power. Yun Feng's punch was like 2 roaring water dragons pouncing on Ling Xiao. It blocked Ling Xiao's escape route. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Ling Xiao snorted coldly. Tai Chi opened at full speed. He stared at Yun Feng. Suddenly, he slashed out with his sword. This sword strike actually hit the vital points of the 2 water dragons. Although Ling Xiao's attack power was far inferior to Yun Feng's, but it still broke Yun Feng's attack. This was the advantage of Tai Chi. It magnified the opponent's weakness and improved his own advantage. Chapter 4062. It's actually a vital attack? How did you find the flaw of my Great River Divine Fist? Yun Feng was puzzled. Ling Xiao was still young. Normally, those who had this kind of ability were all old guys, unless Ling Xiao grasped a secret technique that allowed him to pry into the vitals of others. So what if you have a weakness? I'll show you how powerful the real Great River Martial Soul is. After all, Yun Feng's cultivation was higher and his strength was stronger. Ling Xiao could only deal with the attacks as they came. Therefore, Yun Feng believed that he would definitely win this time. It was impossible for him to fail. Great River Sunset. Yun Feng punched out with both hands, and a sunset covered the entire underwater world. Wherever the sunset went, there would be fist shadows. Even if Ling Xiao could find the flaws and vital points, he would not be able to destroy them. You want to trap me like this? Don't forget that this is an underwater world. Ling Xiao suddenly sneered and retreated. He went into the river. Canopied Beast Soul Transformation. He transformed from the peerless, heavenly rat soul transformation into a canopy beast. It was to adapt to the underwater battle. Water Giant. With a roar, the water condensed into a giant and wrapped Ling Xiao in it. No matter how the fist shadows attacked, there was a steady stream of water to replenish it. Yun Feng could not hurt Ling Xiao for a while. I admit that I'm not your opponent, but you want to kill me? No way. After blocking the attack, Ling Xiao did not counterattack, because it was very difficult to defend at this time. Counterattacking would only consume true essence, but it would not hurt Yunfeng. It was better to defend with all his strength. While defending with all his strength, Ling Xiao merged the 3 drops of beast god's blood into his body and began to absorb it. He was ready to cultivate the 12 divine beasts technique, seeing the water giant that seemed to have walked out of the universe. Yunfeng's face was very ugly. Indeed, he was much stronger than Ling Xiao. But so what? If he could not kill Ling Xiao, it would be meaningless. Not only did Ling Xiao possess the beast god's blood, but he also possessed the great river star. He would never give up on any of the treasures. After attacking for a long time without success, Yunfeng began to get anxious. Wenruo, I know where you are. Come out. You want the beast god's blood, and I want the great river star. If we kill Ling Xiao, we can split the loot. He suddenly looked behind Ling Xiao and shouted, "Ha ha ha! Chief is indeed a heavenly core warrior. You actually found me!" Wenruo laughed heartily as she walked out and said, "However, our young miss has already said, you don't want me to be enemies with Ling Xiao. What do you think I should do?" "Bullshit. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? Your family's young miss is insensible, but you don't know either?" Yunfeng said coldly, "You wanted to kill this kid for a long time, right? Why are you putting on airs?" Ling Xiao shifted his position and looked at Wenruo indifferently. In fact, he had noticed Wenruo a long time ago. However, Wenruo's strength was weaker than Yunfeng's, so he didn't pay much attention to her. But now he was in trouble. If these two really joined forces, he didn't even know if he could escape from this place. "Chief, don't talk nonsense," Wenruo said with a smile. "Cut the crap. If you want to join forces, then do it now. After we're done, I'll take the great river star, and you can take the beast god's blood. Or else I'll kill you first. I believe he won't stop me." Yunfeng was worried that someone else would come here. That's why he was anxious. "Chief is ruthless, but I like this kind of ally. All right, we'll do as you said. Let's join forces. Let's kill this kid." Wenruo made up her mind. She had already contacted Qi Yaoguang. Before Qi Yaoguang arrived, they would kill Ling Xiao first. Once Qi Yaoguang arrived, they would join forces and kill Yunfeng. Today would be the perfect day. "Good, that's more like it." Yunfeng nodded his head. Then he unleashed the great river sunset once again. Fist shadows that blotted out the sky and covered the earth rumbled towards Ling Xiao. The water giant kept shattering. While the water giant was shattering, Wenruo launched his attack. This guy was using a hidden weapon. Silver needles were shooting out from the folding fan in his hand. They pierced through the water giant's body and attacked Ling Xiao. It was really troublesome for Ling Xiao to control the water giant. "Wenruo, you must die today. And Yunfeng, just you wait. No matter what, I'll kill you. Even if I have to pay with my life, I'll let you know. This is the consequence of offending me, Ling Xiao." Ling Xiao was determined. Damn it, he couldn't even defeat an early heavenly core warrior. Now he had to face a perfect earth core warrior. He had a headache. It was really hard to stay alive, not to mention fighting back. But Ling Xiao didn't believe it. Canopy Beast's second special skill, Yellow Spring Water. Suddenly, the originally transparent river water turned blood red. Like fresh blood, it swept towards Yunfeng and Wenruo. Not good. While both men were attacking each other, they suddenly retreated. What they were facing now wasn't just Ling Xiao. They had to face the power of the river as well. Both men jumped out of the water. Looking at the blood-red river water, there was nothing they could do. "Damn it. This guy has been staying in the river. There's nothing we can do, unless we find a way to get him out." Yunfeng's expression was terrible. Who would have thought that Ling Xiao would have such a terrifying skill, forcing them to retreat? He can't stay in the river forever. He has to come out eventually. Wenruo sneered. She extended her hand and unleashed 2 talismans, cutting off the river water on both sides. This made it impossible for Ling Xiao to escape from the water. What they needed to do now was to wait for Ling Xiao to come out from the water. Once Ling Xiao came out, they would attack with all their strength and kill Ling Xiao. Right at this moment, Sword Lady Azure Lotus appeared once again. "Do you need my help?" she asked Ling Xiao gently. "There's no need for that for now. Sister Azure Lotus can protect me. I want to practice the 12 Divine Beasts technique." Ling Xiao said, "12 Divine Beasts technique? It sounds like a very domineering martial skill. What level of martial skill is it?" Sword Lady Azure Lotus asked curiously. "If it's not good, I can give you an 8th rank Emperor level martial skill, but I don't know if you can practice it." "No need. With my current cultivation, I can't practice an 8th rank Emperor level martial skill. But the 12 Divine Beasts technique is different. It's a magical martial skill. To be precise, it's only one move, which is to condense the power of the Beast God and transform it into the shape of the Beast God to attack. However, there can be 12 kinds of Beast God forms. But even if it's just one move, it's as powerful as 12 layers. The first layer requires 3 drops of Beast God's blood. Once it's successfully cultivated, it can reach the level of a 7th rank Emperor level martial skill. After that, its power will increase with each layer. It's probably more terrifying than a 10th rank Emperor level martial skill. Ling Xiao was speculating, but there were many facts to support it, so it shouldn't be too far off. There's actually such a terrifying martial skill. No wonder it's so difficult to practice. Chapter 4063. It seems like I'm ignorant. Sword Maiden Azure Lotus sighed. During the era when the 12 beast gods controlled the Black Tortoise continent, there were many ancient beast gods. There was a lot of research on the beast gods' martial arts. Unfortunately, there were only a few beast god martial artists. As a result, most of the martial arts were lost. Now, the number of beast god martial artists is pitifully small. You're extremely lucky to have obtained the 12 Divine Beast technique. Any beast god's martial arts can be called a divine martial art. There's a huge difference between them and ordinary martial arts. Therefore, they can't be classified by ordinary martial arts. Hearing Sword Maiden Azure Lotus words, Ling Xiao smiled and said, "Even so, the stronger the martial art, the harder it is to cultivate. The first stage requires 3 drops of Beast God's blood. I'm afraid I'll need more in the future. And this isn't the most difficult part. The most difficult part is to cultivate the 12 Divine Beast technique. I have to merge the power of the 12 beast gods into one. That's the most troublesome part. Beast gods are prideful. I have the primordial god position. Each of them is extremely powerful. If he wanted to succeed in his cultivation, he would have to subdue these arrogant beast gods. It's similar to the 9 sovereigns sword technique that I used to cultivate, but the difficulty is many times higher. It's okay. If you encounter any difficulties, I can help you." Sword Maiden Azure Lotus smiled and said, "Nothing in this world can be done easily. If there is, it means that the matter is meaningless. No matter what, you have to succeed in cultivating the 12 Divine Beast technique. For you, this martial art is tailor-made for you. Nothing else is meaningful. Imagine the scene of 12 beast gods descending at the same time. How exciting would that be? The enemy would probably be scared to the point of collapsing on the ground." Sword Maiden Azure Lotus said excitedly, "It's a pity that I'm not a beast god. Otherwise, I'd want to cultivate it too. 9th or even 10th order Emperor realm martial skills are not worth mentioning in front of it." "Okay, I'll listen to you, Sister Azure Lotus." Ling Xiao also knew that the 12 Divine Beast technique was hard to come by and was extremely powerful. He had never thought of throwing it away. After all, this was the key to him moving unhindered in the 4 major regions. This little girl is quite knowledgeable. The Yuan Venerate suddenly sent a voice transmission to Ling Xiao. The 12 Divine Beast technique is indeed powerful, but there's a problem that you've all overlooked. Cultivating the 12 Divine Beasts art didn't just require the beast god's blood. It also required the support of a powerful demonic beast's core. Every time he cultivated a deity incantation, he would need a demonic beast crystal core. In the end, there were a total of 12 types. Furthermore, it has to be a perfect match for your beast god, martial spirit. Hurry up and ask this little girl. I reckon she should have something like that on her. The demon core didn't need to be too strong, but it had to be at least a peak 7th divine core demon core. If he found a better one in the future, he could replace it. Of course, the stronger they are, the better. They can save a lot of time. The Yuan venerates. Words reminded Ling Xiao. Indeed, the older, the wiser. Ling Xiao had underestimated the difficulty of cultivating the 12 divine beasts technique. After all, he had to search for a large number of demonic beast cores just to cultivate a rank 6 emperor-class martial skill. It must be the same now. Therefore, he told Green Lotus, swordswoman, his thoughts. Green Lotus, swordswoman, was taken aback. Then she smiled and said, "You're really lucky. I don't have many hobbies, but I like to collect some special demonic beast cores. Let me see if there's anything suitable for you." After saying that, she gently touched her storage ring. After a short moment, she took out 3 demonic beast cores. All of them were extreme core realm demonic beast cores. They represented the sun god, blood diamond rat, the ox god, one-eyed thunderbull, the tiger god, golden winged tiger. Take these 3 demonic beast cores first. As for the rest, I'll think of a way for you. Don't worry, the Golden City is powerful. Gathering these demonic beast cores isn't a problem. Actually, the key is the beast god's blood. It's not easy to find. Without hesitation, Green Lotus Swordswoman gave the 3 demonic beast cores to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao received the 3 demonic beast cores and said gratefully, "Sister Green Lotus, I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough for your kindness. I'll take this good thing. I'll definitely return this favor in the future." With a backer, things were different. Otherwise, he would have to work hard to find these things. After searching for half a day, he might not be able to find them. With the 3 demonic beast cores in hand, Ling Xiao could feel 3 completely different types of terrifying energy. The crimson blood heaven-piercing rat represented blood and slaughter. It gave people a feeling of brutality. The one-eyed thunderbull represented thunder and destruction. It gave people a strong desire. The golden-winged tiger represented flash and speed. It gave people a feeling of freedom. Every type of demonic beast's crystal core represented a different attribute and will. When he touched them, he could almost see the terrifying demonic beast baring its fangs and brandishing its claws at him. That kind of feeling was really too shocking. Demonic beast cores were as important as human cores. Although these 3 demonic beast cores had been in the hands of many people for a long time, but the demonic beast aura emitted from them was still very strong. All 3 types were very strong, but he couldn't be greedy, because he only had a total of 4 drops of beast god's blood. Currently, he could only cultivate 1 type of beast god technique, master 1 attribute and 1 will. Actually, there was no need to even think about this. Ling Xiao's most powerful beast soul transformation was the unbounded heavenly rat. The 2 divine swords in his hands were also the weapon souls of the blood tooth heavenly rat. So he chose the first attribute and will. Of course, it was blood and slaughter. He stored the other 2 demonic beast cores in the Dongsheng Emperor Ring. Ling Xiao held the blood diamond rat's demonic beast core in his hand. He felt the power contained in it. He began to cultivate the first stage of the 12 divine beasts technique. After such a long time, although he had been unable to cultivate the 12 divine beasts technique, he had already memorized the chant. He just had to circulate his true essence according to the chant and cultivate. If it was someone else, it would be very difficult to cultivate such a divine technique. But he was different. His overlord martial spirit could contain everything, not to mention the beast god's blood and the extreme core demonic beast core. Even if it was a more powerful existence, he would dare to swallow it. In addition, with the help of the Tai Chi eye, his comprehension and comprehension ability had reached the peak. Others couldn't understand something after seeing it hundreds or thousands of times, but he only needed to see it once. It was said that everything was difficult at the beginning, but in fact, the first level of the 12 Divine Beasts technique was easier to cultivate, because the first level only had one attribute and will. There was no need to fuse them. The biggest difficulty was no longer there. Closing his eyes, he quickly entered a state of cultivation. The demonic beast core in his hand quickly became smaller and finally merged into Ling Xiao's body. Sword Maiden Green Lotus was even more surprised. This kid I really didn't see wrongly. With his talent, the 4 regions and the black tortoise continent can't restrain his existence. In the future, he will definitely walk out of the black tortoise continent like his grandfather. Chapter 4064. The more Green Lotus swordswoman looked at Ling Xiao, the more she liked him. This kid's ability made her envious, but it also made her feel at ease. After all, no matter how talented Ling Xiao was, she would take good care of him according to Hong Chi's instructions. But if his talent was too poor, it would be useless. No matter how much effort you put into it, you might not be able to get anything good out of it. But it was different now. They only needed a little help. And Ling Xiao would be able to give them a huge surprise. She had been staying at the side, protecting Ling Xiao. If Yunfeng and Wenruo dared to come in at this time, she would kill them without hesitation. Forget about Green Lotus swordswoman, just Ling Xiao. As the demonic beast core entered his body, suddenly, a terrifying killing intent soared into the sky. Ling Xiao was surrounded by a blood-red aura. It had almost condensed into a solid existence. That violent killing intent even made Green Lotus swordswoman make a subconscious move to counterattack. It was enough to show how terrifying it was. I hope he won't be devoured by this killing intent. That would be good. Green Lotus swordswoman became nervous. She stared at Ling Xiao carefully, not daring to relax at all. She was afraid that Ling Xiao would be in trouble if she relaxed even a little bit. Boom! In the next moment, the killing intent became even stronger. The blood-red light even drove away the river water. Yunfeng and Wenruo, who were waiting by the shore, were shocked. They turned around and fled, because they saw a ferocious demonic beast. They hated that their father didn't give them 2 more legs. That terrifying demonic beast even became a nightmare in their minds. It made them scream uncontrollably and flee. So scary! Green Lotus swordswoman's body was also trembling. She released her vital essence to help Ling Xiao suppress the killing intent. She couldn't let the killing intent of the red blood sky drilling rat swallow Ling Xiao's will. After a while, the blood-red light quickly disappeared. The violent killing intent seemed to have met its nemesis. It was swallowed directly. This scene made Green Lotus swordswoman even more surprised. What kind of terrifying thing is in this kid's body? How can it be so terrifying? Her heart was trembling. The pressure of the blood heavenly rat was already enough to shock her. However, that unknown thing was able to easily suppress the blood diamond rat. She didn't have to worry about anything at all. A moment later, a brand new small realm was formed in Ling Xiao's tyrannical universe. This small world was the blood diamond rat's world. It was a world of blood and slaughter. When he finished cultivating all 12 beast god secret techniques, the tyrant universe would definitely form 12 miniature worlds. They represented different attributes and different wills. At that time, the name Ling Xiao would definitely appear among the top experts of the Black Tortoise continent. Without a doubt, this blood and slaughter actually merged with the slaughter sword essence that I cultivated in the past. If he released the sword will again, it would become even stronger. It seems that the 12 Divine Beast technique is not only an offensive cultivation technique, but it also has the ability to enhance other martial skills. Ling Xiao opened his eyes, and his whole body was enveloped in a blood-red light. His eyes were bloodshot. His will to kill made him seem like a god of death. Kill the heavens, kill the earth. Withdraw. Ling Shao called softly. The killing intent and blood disappeared at the same time. The first stage of the 12 divine beasts technique was finally cultivated successfully. Of course, it was only a small success. If he wanted to master the first stage, he could only achieve it through continuous battles. However, this was not a problem for Ling Shao. In a sense, what he was best at was fighting. What he liked the most was fighting. Fighting could make him stronger. Fighting could also give him a foothold in this world. How do you feel? Green Lotus, swordswoman, asked with a smile. This is definitely not the feeling of a peak 7th level Emperor class martial skill. Ling Shao shook his head and said, just the first stage made me feel its horror. At the very least, it has the power of an 8th level Emperor class martial skill. However, the consumption is too great. My true essence will be completely exhausted after one use. This is nothing. Even if my true essence is exhausted, I still have potential. The troublesome thing is that my physical strength will be consumed by half. This is something that can't be helped. I'm still too weak. This feeling was somewhat similar to when he was cultivating the 9 sovereigns sword technique. He really couldn't use a skill like this too often. If he used it twice in a row, Ling Shao would probably be lying on the ground, unable to move. He would be at the mercy of his enemies. This is normal. There is always a law between the heavens and earth. You're only at the early 5th level of the divine core realm. If you can continuously use this skill, you'll be breaking the law. Even the kings of sovereigns won't allow you to do that. Therefore, what you need to do now is to increase your cultivation as soon as possible. Only when your cultivation is high enough, you'll be able to use this skill better. Green Lotus swordswoman said with a smile, I understand. How could Ling Shao not understand? After all, he had experienced the same thing. When he was cultivating the 9 sovereigns sword technique, it was just as tough. Ling Shao took a deep breath. Rin Yue Hai, awkward in the middle. Gu Hui Yue Hui, Huang Ping Shu. He immediately broke through to the 6th level of the divine core realm. Previously, it was already tough for him to break through 10% of his cultivation ocean. But now he had broken through from the early 5th level of the divine core realm to the early 6th level of the divine core realm. This was enough to prove how powerful the beast god's blood was, and how powerful the 12 divine beast skill was. Now, I have a higher chance of winning against Yunfeng. Although an 8th level divine core warrior is still a huge gap in front of me. But at least I won't have to run away like before. Ling Shao checked his strength. His cultivation had broken through, and he had successfully cultivated the blood drill rat skill of the 12 divine beast skill. He was very confident in himself. I wonder if Yunfeng is still outside. I'll kill him first. And that one Ruo. Ling Shao was a man who held grudges. Just now, he was surrounded by enemies from both sides. He had to take revenge for this. In his eyes, when Ruo was nothing, even if she joined forces with Yunfeng, she would still be killed in an instant. He didn't care about her at all. Those two have already run away. You caused such a huge commotion when you were cultivating just now. Even I felt scared, let alone them. Sword Lady Azure Lotus said with a smile, but not only have you offended Yunfeng, you've also killed a man from the Heavenly Devil Ghost Tribe. This is very dangerous. I don't know what that little girl Qi Yaoguang is thinking. Also, I suspect that the mastermind has started to act. He knows that I'm here as the supervising angel, so he must have set up some hidden pawns. Don't be careless. Once you kill Yunfeng, your mission will be completed. Don't do anything else. Just leave as soon as possible. Understood. Although he didn't know who the mastermind behind the Great River Bandits was, Sword Lady Azure Lotus was very cautious. That meant the mastermind wasn't an ordinary man. He really had to be careful. With his current strength, he might not even be able to kill Yunfeng. If there was another man who was as strong as Yunfeng, he would have to rely on Sword Lady Azure Lotus. But what if Sword Lady Azure Lotus was held back by someone else? Chapter 4065. The moment he stepped out of the river, Ling Xiao was filled with confidence. Compared to before, not only had his cultivation improved by a large margin, but he had also cultivated the first level of the 12 Divine Beast Technique. Now, even if he met Yin Feng, he would dare to fight him one-on-one. Although he might not win, he wouldn't have to run away like before. 3 drops of Beast God's blood merged with a blood diamond, Rat's Beast Core. This allowed his physical strength to improve again. Although there was no substantial change, he was still much stronger than before. Not only that, his memory, comprehension, and so on had improved again. It could be said that it was an all-round improvement. Green Lotus, swordswoman, hid in the dark again. This beautiful big sister was of great help to him. If it wasn't for Green Lotus swordswoman, how could he cultivate the 12 Divine Beast Technique? He had to protect such a good big sister. Although his current strength was still far from Green Lotus swordswoman, he could use Green Lotus swordswoman as his backer. But Green Lotus swordswoman wasn't the strongest in the Golden Heavens region. There were even stronger existences above her. For him, Green Lotus swordswoman had done something that offended her superiors. They would definitely make things difficult for her. He wanted Green Lotus swordswoman, Ancestor Scarlet Flame, and Zhao Fengyan to live well. He had to continue to become stronger. These 3 backers didn't make him lose his motivation to move forward. On the contrary, he felt that the responsibility on his shoulders was even heavier. Next, he would kill Wenruo, Eagle Claw, and Blood Knife first. These 3 guys actually dared to take advantage of his power and wanted to kill him. He didn't care if they were from the Heavenly Fiend Ghost Tribe or if they would anger Qi Yaoguang. If they had to be killed, they had to be killed. After killing these 3 people, Yun Feng would also have to fight. He had to kill them. No matter what method he came up with, he had to kill them. However, when Ling Xiao was searching for Yun Feng and the others, he encountered a group of mysterious existences. This group of people were all dressed in golden robes. It was as if they were made of gold. Each of them had the aura of a golden crow. Blazing, terrifying. Ling Xiao stood there and looked at this group of people coldly. The corner of his mouth curled up into a slight smile. You can't be waiting for me, right? There were a total of 18 people in this group, and all of them were very strong. They were all Earth Core experts. There was even one whose aura was as terrifying as the Green Lotus swordswoman. Ling Xiao was just standing there, but he could feel his legs trembling. That's right, we've been waiting for you. You're the variable in our plan. Therefore you must die. The martialist with an aura as terrifying as the Green Lotus swordswoman revealed a sinister smile. Then he suddenly looked behind Ling Xiao. Green Lotus swordswoman, there's no need to hide. Let's spar. This person had not come here for Ling Xiao, but for the Azure Lotus swordswoman. Obviously, in order to protect the Great River Bandits, Yun Feng had to stay alive. The Great River Star had to be taken back. But Sword Lady Blue Lotus was Ling Xiao's backer. If he couldn't kill her, then it would be meaningless. I didn't think that you would actually come. He actually dares to be so brazen and brash. Shouldn't you do this secretly? The Green Lotus swordswoman obviously knew this powerful opponent, and even knew this person's master. We're indeed very low-key. Therefore, both of you have to die today. Once you die, no one will know that we came here. After speaking, that person suddenly pounced towards the Green Lotus swordswoman. The Green Lotus swordswoman glanced at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao nodded towards her. His meaning was clear. He would take care of the rest. The Green Lotus swordswoman then turned and left. She lured that expert away. Otherwise, if they were to fight here with their level, the cave would probably collapse. Moreover, it would also affect Ling Xiao. That person did not seem to care. After all, his target was only the Green Lotus swordswoman. As for Ling Xiao, it would be enough to leave him to his subordinates. At the same time, somewhere in the underground city of the Great River Bandits. Lu Qingmeng took advantage of the chaos to come here. Here he found a treasure. It should be the treasure that the Great River Bandits leader, Yun Feng, usually used for cultivation. It was a blood pool. The blood pool contained the blood of martialists. As an apostle of light, Lu Qingmeng should not have used such an evil method to cultivate. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao's figure was constantly in his mind. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao. Even if he had to degenerate into a devil and lose his faith, he would not care. Finally, he jumped down. To welcome a new beginning, an apostle of light had degenerated into a devil's disciple, just to kill Ling Xiao. Of course, Ling Xiao did not know what Lu Qingmeng did. During this period of time, he was busy with other things and did not have time to look for Lu Qingmeng. At this moment, he had to face 15 powerful enemies. If he did not die, they would be annihilated. Kid, hand over the Great River Star and accept our master's offer. If you become one of his men, you can still live. The one who spoke was a Great Circle Earth Core Realm expert. Under the golden robe was an old man around 50 years old. He exuded arrogance and majesty. You are from the Golden City? Why are you so weak? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Logically speaking, Earth Core Realm warriors were not qualified to step into the Golden City. Of course, this was just his thought. In fact, the Golden City also needed servants to do odd jobs. Their strength was not considered strong. Do you still remember Deacon Bai? The leader suddenly asked. Ling Xiao was startled. When he was in the Western Skies capital, Deacon Bai insisted on stopping him from coming to the 3,000 Saint City. In the end, he was killed. At that time, Deacon Bai said that they had people in the 3,000 Saint City. They belonged to the Bai family of Sword Soul Saint City. He did not expect the Bai family to come for revenge so soon. Of course I remember. He was just a piece of trash, a mere Great Circle Mortal Core warrior. How dare he try to stop me from coming to the 3,000 Saint City? I killed him. Ling Xiao said indifferently. It's good that you admit it. The leader said, I am the leader of the Bai family of the 3,000 Saint City. You are able to force me to kill you personally. Even if you die, you can still be proud. You think a piece of trash like you can kill me? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with mockery. If it was before, he might be a little worried when he met these people. After all, among these 15 people, 5 of them were at the Great Circle, Mortal Core Realm. The other 10 were all at the Late Earth Core Realm. He couldn't even defeat Eagle Claw and Bloodblade, let alone these 15 people. But now, everything was different. His cultivation base had increased, and he had successfully cultivated the 12 Divine Beasts technique. His strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Others wanted to kill him, but it was not that easy. How could he, Ling Xiao, lose his life so easily? You talk big, but your strength is weak. I have seen a lot of people like you. Do it. Leader Bai waved his hand coldly. Although he looked down on Ling Xiao did kill the 2nd, 4th, and 6th chiefs of the Great River Bandits. Therefore, he could not underestimate him. Everyone knew what would happen if they underestimated their enemy. Chapter 4066. Golden Crow, Heavenly Fire. Clan leader Bai shouted coldly. The 15 of them released the golden flame at the same time. The flame completely enveloped Ling Xiao. It released a blazing heat. Although the golden flame was just demonic fire, when the 15 of them worked together, the threat of the flame was raised to the level of heavenly fire. Obviously, the 15 of them all had the same martial soul. Golden Crow, demonic fire! It was different from the Golden Crow martial soul. It was just a demonic fire martial soul of a demonic beast similar to the Golden Crow. However, it wasn't easy to find 15 people to train together. Ling Xiao realized that the 15 of them might be more difficult to deal with than he thought. They were not just a simple combination. They had probably undergone strict training and cooperation. They had cultivated the best cooperation skills, just like the Eagle Claw and the Blood Knife. The blazing flame burned on the 15 of them. The flame rolled and shone with golden light. It gave off a strange and powerful aura. Huff, huff! The roaring sound of the flame was constantly heard. Gradually, firebirds formed in front of the 15 of them. Kill! Clan leader by ordered. The 15 firebirds rushed toward Ling Xiao at the same time. The blazing and strange aura kept approaching Ling Xiao, trying to burn Ling Xiao to ashes. Since you want to play with fire, I'll play with you. Immortal bird, beast soul, transformation. In the next moment, Ling Xiao transformed into the immortal bird. It released an even more blazing flame. The flame wrapped around his body and formed a protective layer. The immortal bird fire was at the level of heavenly fire in its normal state. After it was released, the 15 firebirds paused for a moment. Even the fires seemed to have sensed the threat and became much smaller. The 15 of them were obviously shocked. They had investigated Ling Xiao's background. However, they did not expect that Ling Xiao could also play with fire. And it was heavenly fire. The essence of the flame was stronger than theirs. Don't be afraid. Clan leader by shouted, Our flame is the golden crow fire that has been specially modified. Don't be afraid of him. Kill. Following his roar, the 15 firebirds seemed to come alive again. Not only was the flame hot, but it also gave Ling Xiao an eerie feeling. He didn't know why it was like this, but the flames of these people were a little strange. Ling Xiao spread his wings of flame and soared into the sky. At the same time, he struck out with both palms. The flames of the undying bird gushed out furiously and charged toward the crowd. He wanted to see what was so strange about his opponent's flame that it could make him feel uneasy. Withdraw! Seeing Ling Xiao's flame attack coming, the 15 people who were being attacked suddenly made a strange hand seal. Then, a black smoke emerged from the golden flames. The black smoke touched the fire of the undying bird. It actually devoured the undying bird's fire. After devouring it, the other party's firebird had clearly become more powerful. What the hell is that? This was the first time Ling Xiao had seen something like this. There was actually a demonic flame that could devour heavenly flames. He had never heard of such a thing before. This was too strange. Dark firebird, devour your enemy. Clan leader by roared. The 15 firebirds merged into one. There were black flames in the golden flames. It was very scary. The huge dark firebird pounced toward Ling Xiao ferociously. It was like a real demonic beast was chasing after Ling Xiao. Its eyes were burning with black flames, giving people a cold and scary feeling. Caw! The dark firebird actually let out a real cry. It flapped its wings and instantly arrived in front of Ling Xiao. King Kong Ape Beast Soul, Fire and Water Immunity. Ling Xiao hurriedly released fire and water immunity. The dark firebird hit the golden light wall and didn't rush in. However, the black flames penetrated the light wall and gradually corroded and devoured it. Damn it, not only is it extremely fast, but it also has such a strange ability. It's not easy to deal with. Ling Xiao frowned. He blocked the attack while looking at the 15 people. While controlling the firebird to attack, the 15 people didn't chase after it. Obviously, although the dark firebird was powerful, it also restrained them. The 15 people were constantly making hand seals. They looked very nervous. It could be seen that although this attack was powerful, it also consumed a lot of their energy. Sure enough, there was nothing absolutely perfect. If you want to seek a powerful attack, you will inevitably have to pay some price. There was a black mark between the eyebrows of the 15 people. Ling Xiao didn't know what it was, but he could feel evil from it. There was a kind of aura of a sky demon ghost warrior, but the evil aura was even stronger. Could it be that the Bai family has actually surrendered to the sky demon ghost? Could there be a sky demon ghost spy among the upper echelons of the Golden City? Ling Xiao thought a lot in his heart. But after all, it was just speculation, and the trouble he was in now was not small. It was better to wait until the trouble in front of him was solved. Crack! Suddenly, The light wall that was impervious to fire and water began to crack. I have to think of a way as soon as possible, otherwise it will be troublesome. Ling Xiao frowned. As long as the light wall that was impervious to fire and water was broken, then he could only escape. In the process of escaping, there was no way to think better. The Tai Chi eye had already opened and began to analyze the weakness of the dark firebird. What he didn't know was that Patriarch Bai's expression was not good. Forcibly controlling the dark firebird, he thought that it would be easy to kill Ling Xiao. But who knew that Ling Xiao actually had such a defensive divine skill? If this stalemate continued, the unlucky ones would definitely be them in the end. No wonder this kid called Ling Xiao could destroy the few leaders of the great river bandits. Just these divine abilities alone were not something that the other leaders could compare to. Perhaps only the first leader and the fifth leader could suppress it. Got it. The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled into a smile. Although this dark firebird is invincible, your body is not strong. If I directly attack your body, let's see if this firebird will collapse. However, ordinary speed was not enough to avoid the dark firebird's attack. Even the falling plum, clear shadow step, and the cosmic body were not as fast as the dark firebird. But Ling Xiao still had one more move. Earth-crossing golden light technique. His bloodline was constantly awakening, and the earth-crossing golden light technique was becoming faster and faster. At such a close distance, it was almost equivalent to teleportation. Patriarch Bai noticed Ling Xiao's calmness, although he didn't know what Ling Xiao was thinking. However, he had a very bad feeling about this. This feeling came out of nowhere, and it made him somewhat fearful. The dark firebird was still attacking the light wall. The cracks on the light wall were as dense as a spider web, and it could be destroyed at any time. The moment the light wall was destroyed, Ling Xiao attacked. Earth-crossing golden light technique. Patriarch Bai and the others only saw a flash of golden light. Not good. Quickly withdraw the dark firebird. Chapter 4067. Although Patriarch Bai didn't know what Ling Xiao was going to do. However, Ling Xiao's sudden burst of speed caused his heart to sink to the bottom of the valley. As he shouted, he moved and used his true yuan to protect his body. The other 4 perfect Earth Core Realm Warriors also did the same, but the remaining 10 late Earth Core Realm Warriors were just a little bit short. Just a little bit. All of a sudden, they felt a burning sensation coming from their bodies. They controlled the flame, but in the end, they were burned to ashes by the flame. In an instant, the 10 of them vanished into nothingness, along with their internal organs. They were completely separated from this world. What a terrifying guy. The 5 perfect Earth Core Realm Warriors gathered together and looked at the smiling Ling Xiao in horror. For the first time, they felt fear in their hearts. The 15 of them were here to take Ling Xiao's life. But now it seemed, Ling Xiao's life was not easy to take. Standing proudly in the air, Ling Xiao looked at the 5 surviving perfect Earth Core Realm Warriors mockingly. He suddenly smiled and said, "Your dark firebird really gave me a big shock. However, shouldn't it be my turn to make a move next?" Ling Xiao smiled coldly and released the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit. After all, there was no one else here. As long as he killed the 5 people in front of him, the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit would not be known to others. The pitch-black universe instantly enveloped the entire space. Patriarch Bai and the other 4 people's faces changed. What kind of martial spirit is this? How can it be so terrifying? They could feel the super pressure released by the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit, but they couldn't see through the essence of the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit. You don't need to know what martial spirit is. However, I will return the words that you said before to you now. You should be proud to die under my martial spirit. Ling Xiao laughed. Every movement of his gave off the feeling of a super expert. It was as if the whole world was under his control. Blood Diamond Rat, it's time for you to show your power. The void suddenly changed. A world full of slaughter and blood had opened its door. From this door, a terrifying giant beast walked out. Its body blotted out the sky. Its ferocious might caused the world to tremble. Roar! The ferocious beast let out a terrifying roar. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Run! Run! This guy isn't someone we can deal with. At this moment, clan leader Bai suddenly came to a realization. Why would the Green Lotus, swordswoman, fancy Ling Xiao? Why was Ling Xiao able to give the great river bandits such a headache? This young man was definitely not as simple as he looked on the surface. He was simply too powerful. It was too terrifying. Wanting to fight him was simply courting death. Escape? Why don't you think you can escape from my martial spirit? The 5 perfect Earth Core Realm warriors were like headless flies, running around in the universe of Tyrant. No matter where he fled to, it was just a universe of nothingness. He couldn't escape. There was no way he could escape. Boom! The blood-red mist engulfed one of them. That person let out a shrill scream. His entire body seemed to have been melted by the blood. His body quickly disappeared into nothingness. Outside, his body was thrown out. Only the essence of the energy was integrated into Ling Xiao's body. It turned into potential and energy in the cultivation sea. The items in his storage ring were automatically transferred to Ling Xiao's mountain river world. The remaining 4 people frantically fled to avoid the blood mist while looking back in horror at the fate of that person. That person's soul was completely destroyed by the blood mist. Not only was his physical body gone, but his soul was also gone. So terrifying. What was this? At that moment, they could only feel the killing intent and the ferocious, bestial nature. It was as if a ferocious existence had walked out from the boundless universe. That kind of power was not something they could contend against. It is indeed the power of the heavenly demon. After devouring the perfect Earth Core Realm Warrior's energy, Ling Xiao also devoured the Dark Mark at the same time. This kind of heavenly demon was called the Devouring Heavenly Demon. It was somewhat similar to the devouring devil fetus that Ling Xiao had encountered before. He had originally wondered if the true controller of the heavenly demon ghost realm was the extraterrestrial demon. Now it seemed that this was most likely the case. This dark mark might be harmful to others, but to Ling Xiao it was delicious nutrition. It could help increase the strength of his heavenly demon bone. His physical body was the black tortoise divine body, his bones were the heavenly demon bone, and his bloodline was the golden dragon king's blood. His soul had also been bestowed by the human king and had become incomparably powerful, so he was different from ordinary warriors. While the 4 people were in shock, Ling Xiao's attack did not stop. The blood mist was still spreading, and it was very fast. In the blink of an eye, another person was swept in. The blood mist melted him again, and his energy and dark mark were also devoured. Run. No matter what method we use, we have to escape. This guy is a real demon. He is not an existence that we can contend against. Seeing his companions being killed one by one, Patriarch Bai felt both heartache and regret. When they received the mission from the higher-ups, they were very happy. They felt that this mission could not only avenge Deacon Bai, but also please the higher-ups, receive the favor of the higher-ups. They could continue to enjoy the power of darkness. But now he regretted it. He was unwilling to die, just like that. I told you, you can't escape. Since I have released this martial soul, I can't let you go. Otherwise, if you take away my secret, won't I be in trouble? Ling Xiao sneered. The blood mist swept in again, and 2 more people were swept away. Only Patriarch Bai was left. This guy was strong. He left faster than the other 4 perfect Earth Core Realm Warriors, and he had many treasures that could block the blood mist. But Ling Xiao was not worried. This was purely a stubborn resistance. It was impossible to block all of his attacks. Finally, Patriarch Bai's treasures were swallowed by the blood mist. Patriarch Bai's heart sank to the bottom. Spare my life. The Bai family of Sword Spirit Sacred City will definitely remember your kindness. Patriarch Bai fled frantically while begging for mercy. No one wanted to die, especially when they knew that death would be meaningless. He didn't want to die even more. Do you think it's possible? If I can't defeat you and beg for mercy in front of you, will you let me go? No. You will only kill me in the name of revenge. Now I am stronger than you, so you have to die. There is nothing to say. What's more, I don't need such a useless Bai family. Although the mystic world can coexist with thousands of races, only the demon race can't. They are invaders from outside the realm. Their only goal is to destroy the thousands of races and the mystic world. These creatures were born with the desire to destroy and kill. I will not allow them to exist in my future empire. Ling Xiao had always been a simple person. Those who were good to him, he would naturally treat them with respect. He would even repay a drop of water with a gushing spring. Chapter 4068. No matter who they were, as long as they dared to attack Ling Xiao, he would kill them. If not, he might be killed by these people's revenge one day. Only a dead man would be able to put his mind at ease. If that's the case, I have no choice but to fight. Patriarch Bai realized that begging for mercy was meaningless. Therefore, he detonated his inner core. But he didn't use it to kill anyone. The purpose of detonating his inner core was to release more energy. In an instant, the energy started leaking out. It turned into a huge dark firebird. It crazily jumped towards the blood mist. But too bad it was all in vain. Although the battle lasted for a brief moment, the dark firebird was still completely covered by the blood mist. In the end, it died with a miserable cry. As for Patriarch Bai, he was killed at the same time. After killing Patriarch Bai, Ling Xiao retracted his martial soul and unleashed his martial soul barrier. He swallowed a pill that could replenish his strength. His true origin could be replenished with his potential, but his strength could only be replenished with pills. While resting, he couldn't help but look into the distance. He could clearly sense the aura of Azure Lotus, Swordswoman, because the two mighty warriors were fighting on the ground. The aura they unleashed was extremely violent. She's fine. Ling Xiao let out a sigh of relief. Azure Lotus Swordswoman's strength was probably beyond the enemy's expectation. The battle was extremely intense. Although it wouldn't end in a short period of time, Azure Lotus Swordswoman didn't seem to be at a disadvantage. In fact, she had an obvious advantage. Ling Xiao felt relieved, so he started to speed up his recovery. This battle had increased the energy in his cultivation by 10%. It wasn't easy at all. As his cultivation kept increasing, it became extremely difficult to increase his energy level. If it wasn't for the beast god's blood and the extreme core demon core, he wouldn't have been able to reach the early 6th divine core realm. Luckily, the first level of the 12 divine beasts technique had also reached the level of proficiency. This made it easier for him to level up in the beginning. After leveling up, the strength of the technique had increased by 2 to 3 times. It was pretty good. After half an hour, he finally recovered. A bright light flashed in his eyes as he ran deeper into the cave. He could feel that Yunfeng's and Qi Yaoguang's auras were mixed together. However, they weren't fighting. It was more like they were chatting. This was the worst-case scenario. If the two of them joined forces, then his only choice was to destroy this place and escape. No matter how heaven-defying he was, there was no way he could win. At this moment, in the Great River Underground City, Yunfeng, Qi Yaoguang, Blood Knife, Eagle Claw, Wenruo, and Windwolf were sitting there drinking and chatting. They seemed to be discussing something. Lu Qingmong was still cultivating in the dark. Yunfeng had no idea that the blood pool that he had painstakingly built had been taken over by someone else. If he knew, he probably wouldn't be as relaxed as he was now. How about it, Miss Yaoguang? I only have one request, and that is to return the big river planet to me. As for anything else, I can promise you anything you want. Yunfeng's subordinates were all dead. Now he was the only one left. He had to rely on others, and Qi Yaoguang was the person he had chosen to rely on. Qi Yaoguang was about to speak. Suddenly, he looked at a certain tunnel. Yun Feng also felt that a terrifying aura was approaching at an extremely fast speed. His brows furrowed tightly. How could this person not be dead yet? Ling Xiao. When Ruo, Blood Knife, and Eagle Claw didn't look good after seeing Ling Xiao. They all had conflicts with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao suddenly stopped in the void. A terrifying killing intent directly locked onto Yun Feng. Qi Yaoguang frowned and said, Ling Xiao, why are you here? She glanced behind Ling Xiao and didn't see Green Lotus Swordswoman, so she was a little confused. Ling Xiao came alone. Even if she didn't help Yun Feng could also kill Ling Xiao. Of course, I'm going to kill him. Ling Xiao pointed at Yun Feng and said coldly, Kill me? Humph, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Yun Feng said disdainfully, And them, I'm going to kill them too. Ling Xiao pointed at Eagle Claw, Blood Knife, and Wenruo. A cold light shot out from Ling Xiao's eyes. The killing intent all over his body was like a bloodthirsty beast. It shrouded the people he was talking about. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Qi Yaoguang was even more surprised. Ling Xiao actually said he was going to kill her people in front of her. Was he provoking her? She wasn't very happy. The air was filled with a chill. The killing intent of the two sides confronted each other in the air. It made this place very eerie and terrifying. Ling Xiao, why do you want to kill my people? Qi Yaoguang frowned and said, I don't have any malice towards you. Ling Xiao said lightly, No malice? I'm afraid if Green Lotus Swordswoman didn't appear, you would have already attacked me. But you didn't attack me in the end, so I don't hate you. But they're different. They tried to kill me when I was alone. Since they didn't kill me, I'm going to kill them. Can't you just give me face and bury the hatchet? Qi Yaoguang really didn't want to be enemies with Ling Xiao, because she could feel the terrifying potential hidden in Ling Xiao's body. If she couldn't kill Ling Xiao here, she would have such a terrifying enemy forever. It was really inappropriate. However, she couldn't just stand by and watch Ling Xiao kill her subordinates. So there were some things that had to be said. Okay, but you have to ask them first. If they still want to attack me, what should I do? Ling Xiao said coldly. He still had a good impression of Qi Yaoguang. Moreover, his main target this time was Yun Feng. If he could let Qi Yaoguang watch from the sidelines, this would be an opportunity for him. Miss, you think too highly of this kid. With the three of us, killing him is as easy as flipping our hands. Blood Knife snorted coldly. Obviously, he didn't intend to bury the hatchet. Shut up. Don't forget that our main mission this time is to kill the traitor Yun Feng for the sake of the Great River Star. Qi Yaoguang shouted coldly. But miss, he has the Beast God's blood and the Great River Star. Don't you want them? Eagle Claw said. Qi Yaoguang frowned and looked at Ling Xiao. The Great River Star belongs to us. I won't interfere in the battle between you and Yun Feng. Also, give us half of the Beast God's blood. Otherwise, once we join forces with Yun Feng, you won't have a chance. Indeed, wealth was tempting. When it came to the Beast God's blood, Qi Yaoguang's eyes were filled with greed. Don't even think about the Beast God's blood. As for the Great River Star, you can exchange it with something. If I don't like it, then I won't allow it. Ling Xiao was very bad-tempered. There was no way she could take his things for free. Miss Yaoguang, you heard it. This kid is stubborn. Why don't you join forces with me to kill him? After that, I can go back to the Heavenly Demon Ghost region with you. Chapter 4069. It was obvious that Qi Yaoguang was very conflicted. He was also struggling. On one hand, he didn't want to offend Ling Xiao. On the other hand, he wanted to get the Beast God's blood and the Great River Star. Haha, let me make this decision for you. Suddenly, a hand reached out from the darkness and attacked Qi Yaoguang. Qi Yaoguang frowned. Her slender hand blasted out. Unexpectedly, he only managed to fight to a draw with his opponent, Yun Xiao. Ling Xiao also saw the person who suddenly attacked. It was Yun Xiao, who was ordered to leave by Green Lotus swordswoman. She came back. Brother Yun Feng, what are you waiting for? Join forces with the heavenly demon ghost and kill that kid. As for this little girl, I'm not her opponent. I can only block her temporarily. Yun Xiao looked at Yun Feng and said, Miss, I'm sorry. This Ling Xiao must die. For the sake of the heavenly demon ghost, we can't listen to you. If you want to punish us, we're willing to apologize in the future. When Ruo looked at Qi Yaoguang, who was fighting with Yun Xiao, and said respectfully, the other three had the same reaction. Blood Knife, Eagle Claw, and Wind Wolf. They were all like this. You guys are crazy. You don't even listen to my orders? Qi Yaoguang was angry and anxious now. Although she was stronger than Yun Xiao, she couldn't defeat Yun Xiao without dozens of minutes. However, when Ruo and the others ignored her, perhaps in their eyes, Ling Xiao was a dead man and they couldn't let him go. I really didn't expect that some people in the Golden City would collude with the heavenly demon ghost. It's really surprising. Ling Xiao liked the current situation very much. Yun Xiao was afraid that Green Lotus swordswoman would find trouble with her, so she didn't want to kill Ling Xiao. That was why she did this. But for Ling Xiao, without Qi Yaoguang and Yun Xiao's interference, he definitely had the strength to defeat these people in front of him. When Ruo, please guard the exit and don't let this kid escape. This guy's ability to escape is much stronger than his strength. Yun Feng glanced at Wenruo. Don't worry. Wenruo smiled. She took out a net-like object from her storage ring and threw it into the air. It immediately covered an area of about 300 square meters. This is called the Heavenly Dragnet. If he wanted to force his way out, his body would have to be sliced into pieces. Otherwise, it's just a dream. Wenruo said indifferently, Good. Now I can get rid of this brat in peace. When Yun Feng saw this inescapable trap, he felt relieved. Then he looked at Ling Xiao and said, Kid, to be honest, I really admire your courage. Instead of taking the opportunity to escape, he took the initiative to walk right into the lion's den. Don't you know that the experts of the Bai clan of the Sword Spirit Sacred City are here to cause trouble for you? Even if we don't kill you, you can forget about returning to Fighting Soul Sacred City safely. Are you talking about them? Ling Xiao smiled disdainfully and touched the Dongxing Emperor ring lightly. Immediately, a corpse was thrown out. The reason why he kept these corpses was to attack his enemies. His opponent was not weak. Naturally, he would use any method that could be used. As expected, when they saw those corpses, Yun Feng and the others' faces changed. These people can't be killed by you. Who helped you? Green Lotus swordswoman? After a while, Yun Feng snorted coldly and said, It must be her. But she should be entangled by others now. She can't help you at all. You really know how to comfort yourself. Ling Xiao mocked. Forget it, make your move. Today, I will let you see this, brat, that you look down on. How will I kill you? Ling Xiao could not be bothered to talk nonsense with Yun Feng anymore. Whether he was a mule or a horse, he would know after the battle. Kid, you think too highly of yourself. There is no need for Yun Feng to make a move. We brothers can kill you. Eagle Claw and Blood Knife stood out. In the previous battle, they forced Ling Xiao to retreat. But they failed to kill Ling Xiao, and the beast god's blood was snatched away by Ling Xiao. This made them very unhappy. Therefore, they must get back at him. The two of them released a terrifying killing intent. A blood-red long saber and a mighty eagle appeared on their backs. The powerful aura caused the dust on the ground to fly. Yun Feng glanced at Eagle Claw and Blood Knife and did not object. In fact, he was still very confused about Ling Xiao's strength. If someone could test Ling Xiao's true strength for him, it would be a good thing. Ling Xiao looked at Blood Knife and Eagle Claw and thought that it was just right. There were only 4 people he wanted to kill the most. Yun Feng, Eagle Claw, Blood Knife, and Wenruo. Eagle Claw and Blood Knife were among them. He had just agreed to give Qi Yaoguang face, but these two did not know what was good for them, so they could not blame him. Let's do it. Let me see what other shameless tricks you two trash have. 2 against 1, and still so arrogant. What a joke. Ling Xiao did not transform into the ultimate heavenly mouse. After his cultivation had broken through, he only needed to transform into a normal beast soul to kill these 2 trash. One of them was good at using knives, the other good at using claws. Both were powerful attack types. Therefore, he chose to transform into the King Kong ape beast soul. He would use his defense to break down the opponent's attack, then counterattack. After transforming, Ling Xiao's body was glowing with a golden light, and he looked like a golden armored god of war. Humph! What's the point of looking good? Kill! Blood Knife and Eagle Claw looked at Ling Xiao's transformation with disdain. Both of them looked at each other. Then they dashed forward. A blood-red blade shone with a blood-red light. A black eagle shone with a wild light. Both of their attacks were powerful to begin with. When they merged into one, it was even more terrifying. Child's play. Ling Xiao laughed disdainfully. Suddenly, a golden 1,000-pound stick appeared in his hand. This was the ability of the King Kong ape beast soul transformation. But it was not a special skill. He swung the 1,000-pound stick, and a terrifying wind blew. This 1,000-pound stick weighed over 10,000 pounds. With just one swing of the stick, even a divine core warrior's body would be smashed into pieces. Eagle Claw and Blood Knife were both shocked by what they saw. They hurriedly stopped. They unleashed their blade energies and Eagle Claw attacks from a distance. The blade energies and Eagle Claws formed from true yuan kept smashing onto the 1,000-pound stick, and they shattered into pieces. Not a single blow was able to break the 1,000-pound staff apart. With your current strength, you still want to defeat me? It's simply a pipe dream. Ling Xiao sneered disdainfully. The 1,000-pound stick in his hand suddenly lengthened, and he forcefully smashed it onto both men's bodies. With just one strike, both men were sent flying away. And this was without using the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. Just now, when Ling Xiao used the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul, he was able to instantly kill Clan Chief Bai and the other Peak Earth Core warriors. After Eagle Claw and Blood Knife fell to the ground, they didn't suffer any serious injuries, but their self-esteem had suffered a heavy blow. Both men spat out a mouthful of bloody saliva at the same time. Let's merge. Their voices sounded out as they clasped their palms together. From 2 men, they had become one. Chapter 4070. Fusion. What kind of monster was this? When Blood Blade and Eagle Claw fused together, Ling Xiao could feel how powerful they were. Although they hadn't reached the heavenly core realm yet, compared to before, their combat strength had increased by at least 10 times. Ling Xiao had seen fusion before, but it was rare, and he remembered he had only seen it once. He didn't expect to see it again today. After fusing together, Eagle Claw and Blood Blade had a blood-red wind blowing around their bodies. It was as if they were monsters that were born from the wind. Young man, you didn't stop us from fusing together. That's your biggest responsibility. Boom! In an instant, the blood-red wind grew by a few feet, and the blade slashed down. The fierce wind also raged, rushing towards Ling Xiao. Blood Blade, raging wind. The wind was filled with a violent and destructive aura. Swoosh! It rushed towards Ling Xiao in a frenzy. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows and once again smashed down with the 1,000-pound stick. The 1,000-pound stick shone brightly, and it collided with the blood-red wind in midair. The 2 of them were actually evenly matched. After a moment, a destructive aura spread out. The surrounding buildings started collapsing. When Ruo and Feng Lang's expressions didn't look good. From this collision, they realized that Ling Xiao's strength was much stronger than they thought. I never thought that in less than an hour, your strength would have such a huge breakthrough. Blood Blade and Eagle Claw were surprised as well. After fusing together, they had a common name, Blood Eagle. But you're still no match for us. Everlasting Stormblade. Blood Eagle let out a deep roar. Huge streams of saber chi shot out from his saber. They rushed towards Ling Xiao's 1,000-pound stick. They kept attacking. They kept pushing back. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. Looks like I won't be able to win against this guy with just the King Kong ape transformation. With this thought in mind, Ling Xiao decided to transform into the everlasting heavenly mouse. At the same time, he took out the heavenly sword of Dongsheng. At that moment, the heavenly sword of Dongsheng shone brightly. It directly shattered the gale. This scene caused everyone to be even more shocked. Yun Feng's eyes were filled with greed. He thought that Ling Xiao only had the Mega River Star and the Beast God's blood. What he didn't expect was that there was actually such a good weapon. This was really unexpected. Shui Ying's expression didn't look too good. When Ling Xiao did not use this sword, he could fight on par with their combined strength. If he used this sword, wouldn't he be even more powerful? How were they supposed to fight then? Qi Yaoguang felt even more conflicted. On one side was his subordinate, and on the other side was Ling Xiao. The stronger Ling Xiao was, the more accurate her previous guess was. However, she really didn't want her subordinates to be killed for no reason. Qi Yaoguang, why don't we stop fighting? You've seen that kid's talent. If you don't kill him, you won't have a good ending either. You've already offended him anyway. Yun Xiao was sweating profusely from Qi Yaoguang's attacks. She didn't want to continue fighting either. Her previous idea was to stall Qi Yaoguang and let his subordinates do the job. Now that they had already started fighting, there was really no need for her to fight to the death with Qi Yaoguang. How about we stop at the same time? Qi Yaoguang said. Sure. Yun Xiao couldn't ask for more. The two of them suddenly retreated at the same time and left the battle. They also heaved a sigh of relief. Shuang, stop immediately. After stopping, Qi Yaoguang did something that Yun Xiao didn't understand. Qi Yaoguang, are you all right? Shouldn't you hurry up and kill that kid now? You actually asked your subordinates to stop? Yun Xiao questioned. My decision has nothing to do with you. Qi Yaoguang knew in his heart that his subordinates might not understand his decision. However, he knew that his decision was absolutely right. Ling Xiao wasn't someone who could be dealt with so easily. He definitely couldn't be offended easily. Unfortunately, Shui Ying was in a fit of anger and wouldn't listen to her. He completely ignored her. Ling Xiao naturally had no intention of stopping the battle. He directly released his martial soul enchantment. He focused on the battle, no matter what Qi Yaoguang's attitude was. Since Shui Ying had already attacked him, he had to die. With the obstruction of the inescapable net and the martial soul enchantment, even if Qi Yaoguang wanted to rush in to stop the battle, it would take at least 1 or 2 hours to do so. By then it would be too late. She could only watch helplessly from outside. Qi Yaoguang, don't blame me for being ruthless. It's your subordinates who are courting death. Ling Xiao sneered and held the East Victory Sky sword in his hand. He stabbed out, bloodthirsty, celestial demon seal. With the enhancement of a treasure sword like the East Victory Sky sword, the power of this move was basically close to a peak 7th level Emperor level martial technique. And Shui Ying's martial technique was at most a high 7th level Emperor level martial technique. Not to mention, Ling Xiao also had the enhancement of the Beast Soul transformation. So what if the Blood Saber and Eagle Claw combined? He still had to die. Crack! In midair, the combined body was split into 2. It was just a sword. It pierced through the roaring wind and shattered the terrifying saber. It chopped the combined body in half. No matter if it was Shui Ying or Eagle Claw, there was no way they could survive under such circumstances. The next thing Ling Xiao did after chopping the combined body was to shatter their inner cores, fuse them into his own body. Witnessing this, when Ruo and Feng Lang's hearts turned cold. Their hearts were filled with fear. If the combined body of Eagle Claw and Shui Ying couldn't defeat Ling Xiao, then even if they joined forces, it would be useless. They looked at Yun Feng. Perhaps Yun Feng was their last hope. That sword was too terrifying. It was not something a complete Earth Core realm warrior could withstand. Only a heavenly core warrior like Yun Feng had a chance. Yun Feng's eyes locked onto Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with ferocity, surprise, and a complicated expression. Ling Xiao was facing a perfect Earth Core warrior, and it was so easy for him. Before this, he didn't believe that Ling Xiao could kill the 2nd and 6th managers. But now he believed it. Ling Xiao looked at Yun Feng with disdain. There was a mocking look in his eyes. Great chief of the great river bandits, now it's your turn. A cold voice came out from Ling Xiao's mouth. His voice was filled with mockery and ridicule. This caused Yun Feng to be furious. He was an early heavenly core warrior. He was many times stronger than Eagle Claw and Shuang. Ling Xiao dared to look down on him. He dared to look down on him like this. This was unforgivable. You think you're a strong warrior just because you killed a piece of trash? I've seen many young men like you. Yun Feng drew out his sword. It was a rare heavenly king weapon, but it was obviously enchanted with a spirit. In the 4 regions, there was a profession called Spirit Enchantment Master. A weapon enchanted with a spirit was much stronger than other weapons of the same level, and it also had a special effect. Yun Feng didn't use this sword to fight warriors with a lower cultivation than him, because he didn't think it was necessary. Chapter 4071. Yun Feng rarely used the spirit-augmenting sword. This was because he didn't think it was necessary to fight someone with a lower cultivation than him. But today, when he was facing Ling Xiao, he had drawn the sword. This could only mean one thing. Ling Xiao's formidable strength had caused him to be cautious and cautious. He dared not underestimate his enemy. If he were to fail miserably, it would not only be a shameful matter, but it would also be very likely that he would lose his life. Bang! At the same time, a sword intent was unleashed from his body. It was a murderous sword intent. A furious sword intent. It was a shocking sword intent. Right now, everyone could clearly feel the killing intent and fury unleashed from Yun Feng's body. It wasn't only because Ling Xiao had almost destroyed his pirate group. It was also because Ling Xiao dared to be so arrogant in front of him. In today's battle, either Ling Xiao or Yun Feng would die. Of the two, only one could survive. There's no way he can win. When Ruo shook her head and said, although Ling Xiao is strong, there's no way he can win against a heavenly core warrior. That's right. Looks like we don't have to fight anymore. Feng Lang nodded his head as well. Not only them, Qiao Guang and Yun Xiao were also certain that Ling Xiao wouldn't be able to win. The heavenly core realm was a very special realm. It could absorb the energy of nature, and it could borrow the power of nature. When Ling Xiao fought with Yun Feng, he wasn't just fighting against Yun Feng, he was also fighting against the heavens and earth. How could he win? He knew he was going to die, but he still chose to fight. Why? Yun Xiao mocked. He won't be the one to die. Qi Yaoguang shook his head and said, I've seen a few abnormal monsters. Evildoers were the kind of existences that could make the impossible possible. You don't think he can win, but he can win. As someone who had known Ling Xiao for long, Qi Yaoguang had full confidence in Ling Xiao. He didn't believe Ling Xiao would lose, but she was curious as well. If Ling Xiao was still alive, would Yun Feng die? But how could a warrior at the 6th level of the divine core realm kill a heavenly core warrior? Your strength is really too shocking. To be honest, I was shocked by you. A young man like you should stay in Fighting Soul Sacred City and cultivate properly. In the future, he would definitely become a giant. Unfortunately, you chose the wrong path. Yun Feng calmed himself down and looked at Ling Xiao indifferently. His voice became more murderous and cold. The path you've chosen will definitely lead you to a tragic death. Your talent is very good, and your strength is very strong, but you absolutely do not have the qualifications to be rampant in front of me. Maybe I underestimated you, but don't you think you're overestimating yourself? We great river bandits have been here for 100 years. How could they let a small fry like you destroy them so easily? You will pay a heavy price for what you have done. Come and see how frightening a heavenly core warrior is." Then Yun Feng gently raised the sword in his hand. A terrifying energy was brewing within the sword. A terrifying aura could be felt from his body. "You know what? Actually, when I first met you, I was very happy, because I feel like you're my kind." After saying that, a divine dragon appeared behind Yun Feng. 9 Heavens, Ice Dragon. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. This was a beast god with a high-grade divine position. It was also a divine dragon. No one knew how long it had been. Ling Xiao finally saw someone with a divine dragon martial soul again. Furthermore, it was a beast god warrior. Beast god martial soul transformation. Yun Feng's body changed as well. It turned into a ferocious transformation. On the surface of his body, it looked like he was wearing an armor made of ice crystals. It looked very similar to Ling Xiao's frost divine dragon beast soul transformation. But obviously, it was not as powerful. After all, there was a huge gap between their divine positions. All of Ling Xiao's divine positions were primordial divine positions. This Yun Feng was just a high-grade divine position. The gap was huge. Everyone stared at Yun Feng. They could feel a frightening aura crazily flowing within Yun Feng's body. "This Yun Feng is scarier than I thought." Qi Yaoguang furrowed her brows. She began to doubt if there was something wrong with her judgment. Could Ling Xiao really win this battle? "Miss Yaoguang, do you understand now? That brat is just a beast soul martial artist, but my big brother is a beast god martial artist. He is invincible in the same cultivation realm," Yun Xiao said excitedly. Looking at Yun Feng, her face was full of love. Rumor has it that a 9 Heavens ice dragon once wreaked havoc in the heavenly demon ghost region. Later, it suddenly disappeared. I didn't expect it to become Yun Feng's martial soul. Logically speaking, with his cultivation, it is impossible for him to defeat the 9 Heavens ice dragon. Could it be that he has the help of an expert? When Ruo furrowed her brows. Although the 9 Heavens ice dragon was just a divine dragon skeleton condensed from ice and snow, it had the strength of an ultimate Dan realm. Yun Feng naturally could not defeat it. That was why when Ruo was so confused, she thought that there must be an expert behind Yun Feng. "Do you understand now? It was a stupid mistake to challenge me. I thought we could be friends, but you've disappointed me with your actions. Now, facing me, how do you feel?" Yun Feng looked at Ling Xiao and asked proudly. "Feel?" Ling Xiao looked at Yun Feng and said with a smile, "Is a beast god warrior so great? You just have a high-level deity position. How dare you clamor in front of me? Become friends with you? Are you qualified?" Bah! After saying that, 9 beast god martial souls suddenly appeared behind Ling Xiao. Except for the horse and sheep, there were no suitable beast souls so far. The other 10 already existed. He was now under the transformation of the ultimate heavenly rat beast soul. 9 terrifying beast god souls naturally appeared behind him. The purple lightning bull covered in lightning. The yin-yang universal tiger with light and darkness reflecting each other. The hell shadow rabbit looming in the black shadow. The frost divine dragon formed by interweaving frost. The hell hydra that spat out poisonous fog and made one's hair stand on end. The King Kong ape with golden light protecting its body. The immortal bird that was covered in blazing flames. The hell Cerberus that could spit out lava and control hell. The canopy beast that could control all water elements and move freely in the water. Behind Ling Xiao was a huge collection of divine beasts. When this horrifying scene appeared, Yun Feng's expression instantly turned ugly. He didn't expect this at all. Not only was Ling Xiao a beast god warrior, he also had so many beast god martial souls. None of them were weaker than his 9 Heavens glacial dragon. Humph, you can't win just because you have more. As for your martial soul, because your cultivation base is too weak, the strength it can unleash can't be too strong. Facing me, You still have no chance of winning." Yun Feng let out a cold snort. He was still calm, although the scene before him had given him a huge shock. He was a heavenly core warrior. How could he be scared by a mere mortal core warrior? He believed that Ling Xiao was just bluffing. In a real battle, there was no way he could be stronger than him. Chapter 4072. As Yun Feng spoke, he suddenly took a step forward. The surrounding air suddenly became cold. There seemed to be only cold left in the whole world. Then in the next moment, Yun Feng's body disappeared. He turned into the cold wind in this cold world. Ling Xiao could only see a flash of white light disappearing. Then, a terrifying aura enveloped his whole body. A drop of cold sweat dripped down Ling Xiao's forehead. This might be the most terrifying battle since he entered the nest of the great river bandits. But he could only win, not lose. Gently stepping on the ground, Ling Xiao's figure also disappeared. Boom! It almost stuck to his afterimage. Huge ice thorns pierced out from the place where Ling Xiao originally stood. If Ling Xiao was still there, his body would have been penetrated and become a hedgehog. Fortunately, his speed was not slow. Compared with Yun Feng, this might be his only advantage. Yun Feng was stunned. Then he laughed wildly. "Good speed, but do you think you can be faster than me?" Clatter! A pair of ice wings appeared on Yun Feng's back. Among the divine dragons, there were also types with wings on their backs. This kind of divine dragon was faster. On the wings, there was a strange brilliance flowing. In the next moment, Yun Feng disappeared again. It was as if he had returned to zero from this world. Not even a trace of aura was left. Ling Xiao, who was standing there, could feel the terrifying pressure coming from the void. This pressure came from all directions. It was completely impossible to judge from which direction Yun Feng attacked from. The Tai Chi eye flashed with black and white light. It was rotating at an extremely fast speed. It wanted to capture all the energy in this world. This Yun Feng was really terrifying. Not only was he extremely powerful, but his speed was also not slow at all. The most terrifying thing was that he had many skills that could catch the enemy off guard. Although Ling Xiao had a very strong resistance to frost, he was still able to withstand the cold. Facing Yun Feng, he still did not dare to fight head-on, because Yun Feng could really kill him. Even if he used the Dongxing Heaven Sword, he could not block this attack. The only way was to use speed to deal with Yun Feng. Then he would look for opportunities. His advantage was not only his speed, but also his ability. I'm afraid that only the most powerful 12 Divine Beasts technique and Rage of the Black Soul can completely ignore defense. Only then would he be able to hurt the other party. I have to find an opportunity. Ling Xiao knew very well that even if he used the strongest move of the innate Celestial Demon Seal, he would not be able to block Yun Feng's attack. At most, it would be a stalemate. How could he win? Ling Xiao frantically dodged Yun Feng's attacks while calmly thinking of a countermeasure. He had chosen this battle, so he naturally had to persevere. He even released the Donghuang elites who had not been completely wiped out. In any case, these heroic spirits were formed by the Dongsheng Emperor Ring absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Even if they were all killed, they could still be revived. However, it would take some time. There were still 500 Donghuang elites left. Relying on these Donghuang elites, he had earned himself a rare opportunity to think. However, just as he had expected, the elites of Donghuang were unable to put up any resistance against Yun Feng. 500 elites. In just a few minutes, all of them were destroyed. Die. Suddenly, another Yun Feng appeared behind Ling Xiao. The sudden attack caught Ling Xiao off guard. He hurriedly activated the invincible Vajra to block it. Although he had blocked it, his body was still sent flying. The invincible Vajra shattered. Even the black tortoise divine body was injured. Ice substitute! Qi Yaoguang exclaimed. A substitute condensed from the power of ice, although it doesn't have the slightest attack power. However, it can be freely swapped with the original body. In an instant, it has the original body's ability, while the original body loses its ability. How can Ling Xiao block such an unpredictable attack? Ha ha ha, that kid is dead for sure. When Ruo revealed an excited expression and laughed wildly, Ling Xiao's performance once made him doubt his life. However, seeing this, he gradually calmed down. No matter how strong Ling Xiao was, he still couldn't defy the heavens. Today, Ling Xiao couldn't defeat Yunfeng no matter what. Windwolf also laughed. He was worried for nothing. Did you see that, Miss Yaoguang? This is the Ling Xiao you thought couldn't be killed. But in my big brother's eyes, he's nothing. He's nothing, Yun Qiao said with a smile. But don't forget, your big brother still couldn't kill him. His cultivation is only at the early 6th divine core realm. But your big brother has been fighting for half a day. Qi Yaoguang still believed in his own judgment. He thought the current situation was just an accident. On the battlefield, Yunfeng suddenly stopped attacking. Standing there, he looked like an ice god of war. His blue eyes were filled with coldness. He was looking at Ling Xiao with a mocking expression. But what made him depressed was that Ling Xiao didn't show any signs of panic. Of course, Ling Xiao wouldn't panic. From the moment he faced the heavenly core warrior, Ling Xiao knew clearly that this was a fight with his life on the line. There was a huge gap between him and his opponent, and it was impossible for him to win easily. The injury he suffered this time only made him more motivated, and he wouldn't be discouraged. Kid, how do you feel? Do you suddenly feel like you're so small and ignorant? Do you feel like you're so ignorant and ridiculous when facing such an attack? Yunfeng laughed. It seemed like he had become more confident and arrogant because he was in control of the situation. He felt like killing Ling Xiao wouldn't be a problem at all. He, a mighty heavenly core warrior fighting a tiny mortal core warrior like me. And you're so proud of yourself. You're just like a strong man bullying a little kid. And you're so proud of yourself. People like you are really disdainful. Great river bandits? I don't think so. Ling Xiao stood up once again. There was another sword in his left hand, the Eastern Victory Demon Sword. When the Heavenly Sword and Demon Sword appeared at the same time, Ling Xiao's fighting spirit was boiling. His killing intent became even denser. It was like a volcano erupting, and it was burning crazily. He could feel the high fighting spirit in the air. When Ruo, Feng Lang, and Yun Xiao's expressions were not good, Ling Xiao didn't feel dispirited, and he didn't feel scared either. Facing an enemy who was much stronger than him, he was still filled with fighting spirit. This man, no wonder Qi Yaoguang thought highly of him. No matter how strong you are, I have no fear. Don't even think about making me give up and make me despair. Even if I'm about to die, I'll still fight. Yun Feng's expression was not good either. He became angry and ferocious. Up until now, he had the upper hand in this fight. But he had only met Ling Xiao once. He was a heavenly core warrior. His opponent was only a mortal core warrior. A heavenly core warrior fighting a mortal core warrior should be able to instantly kill him. But just because he met Ling Xiao, he felt proud. This shouldn't be the case, and it was really shameful. Chapter 4073. Whether a person was strong or not, his cultivation level could not be completely reflected. The strength of comprehensive combat strength was the real strength. It was just that comprehensive combat strength could not be directly seen. Only cultivation level could be more direct. That was why people cared more about cultivation level. No matter what, you must die today. Yun Feng was unwilling to continue arguing with Ling Xiao because he found that he couldn't argue with him. Instead of wasting that time, it was better to kill Ling Xiao. As he spoke, the coldness on the long sword in his hand became even more terrifying. A bone-chilling wind jumped on the sword. The terrifying sword qi seemed to tear the entire space apart. Even the inescapable net and the martial spirit barrier were trembling. It felt as if the entire great river city was about to be destroyed. After the light on the sword expanded, it condensed crazily. The originally huge sword qi condensed to less than a foot. But the terrifying energy was enough to make people tremble in fear. Yun Feng wanted to kill Ling Xiao as soon as possible. This sword was no longer an ordinary sword qi. It was a sword blade that had completely condensed into a substance. Unable to release it through the air, he could only get closer. Then, he would stab this sword into Ling Xiao's body. In that way, even if Ling Xiao had a peak 7th Order Emperor level physical body, he would still die. As long as he killed Ling Xiao, who would dare to laugh at him for being incompetent, all the rumors and slanders would stop in an instant. Even the arrogant Qi Yaoguang would not dare to underestimate him and would have to be respectful in front of him. Qi Yaoguang took a fancy to Ling Xiao. Green Lotus swordswoman took a fancy to Ling Xiao. Even his boss behind the scenes felt that he couldn't deal with Ling Xiao. He even sent the Bai family of Sword Spirit Sacred City to help. This resentment, this grievance, he had to vent. He couldn't even wait for a minute. So this sword was the end. Ling Xiao looked at the sword and the blade. He could feel the terror and power on the blade. It could definitely destroy him. He suddenly thought of a very bold plan. He took a deep breath and then exhaled. On Ling Xiao's 2 swords, quintessential essence was also crazily condensing. Blood and slaughter engulfed him once again. He had awakened the 12 divine beast techniques, Tao of slaughter and Tao of blood. Bloody even managed to force the chill back. Above the 2 swords, a huge demonic beast was formed. Crimson blood sky, drilling rat. This illusory demonic beast exuded a terrifying aura of slaughter and blood. Fear appeared in Wen Ruo and Feng Lang's eyes. Yun Xiao and Qi Yaoguang were even more surprised. Ling Xiao is going all out. Qi Yaoguang said, "Humph, even if he goes all out, it's useless. The power of his sword is indeed terrifying. An ordinary perfect Earth Core Realm Warrior would be killed in a split second. But don't forget, my big brother is an early Heavenly Core Warrior. More importantly, he was a beast god martial artist. With Ling Xiao's strength, how can he defeat him?" Yun Xiao naturally still firmly supported her elder brother. This Ling Xiao was too ruthless. He wanted to fight Yun Feng head-on. Did he want to die? To be honest, Yun Feng was also shocked by Ling Xiao's attack. The 2 swords were clearly emitting the aura of an 8th level Emperor Realm martial skill. Although it was just a basic martial skill, it could definitely hurt Yun Feng. Of course, that was only if he didn't defend himself. Right now, he had mastered an even more terrifying attack. How could Ling Xiao fight him? Yun Feng's expression changed from surprise to a smile. "I can see that this is your most powerful attack, right? Too bad. If you used this attack against an Earth Core warrior, you would definitely win. But against me, you don't stand a chance." Yun Feng was a powerful warrior. That was why he could feel how powerful Ling Xiao's attack was. But it was still weaker than him. Although if they fought head-on, both of them would be severely injured. He would be severely injured, but Ling Xiao would definitely die. This was a very good deal, and he definitely wouldn't suffer a loss. "Kill!" Yun Feng roared and rushed over crazily, holding a terrifying long sword that looked like an ice crystal. The spiritual patterns on it were constantly flickering. Yun Feng poured almost all of his effort into this attack, in order to kill Ling Xiao directly. Die! Ling Xiao didn't have any intention to dodge. Both swords struck out. The huge blood diamond rat pounced out. It fiercely blocked Yun Feng's attack. At that moment, the space was filled with destructive power that kept exploding. The martial spirit barrier and the inescapable net were constantly shaking. When Ruo and Feng Lang desperately activated their vital essence to protect themselves, but they were still hit by the released energy and spat out blood. The entire martial spirit barrier was wrapped by the violent energy, including Ling Xiao, Yun Feng, Wen Ruo, and Feng Lang. They were all wrapped in it. Rumble. Explosions kept ringing out. The red sword light and the white sword light kept destroying each other, devouring each other. The destructive and murderous power was raging and rampant in the entire space. What kind of attack is this? Even if we stay inside, I'm afraid we'll be injured. Qi Yaoguang frowned. Although Yun Xiao didn't want to agree, she had to admit that Qi Yaoguang was right. After the two attacks collided, that terrifying power was much more powerful than the combined attacks of the two. And it wasn't just 1+1, it was stronger. The two forces seemed to be unable to destroy each other easily. In the space, the bloody light and the white light reflected each other. Suddenly there was a scream. It's Feng Lang. Qi Yaoguang frowned. It was a pity that the 6 subordinates she had brought were all going to die here. What could she do? Kill Ling Xiao? Not to mention that she couldn't intervene at all. Even if she could she really kill Ling Xiao? Alas, why didn't they listen to her? Ah! Another blood-curdling scream rang out. This time it was Wen Ruo's voice. These two people didn't directly participate in the battle, but they were injured by the aftermath of the battle. They both died. Perhaps when they died, they didn't expect that they would die in such a pathetic manner. When Ruo and Feng Lang are both dead, that Ling Xiao won't be able to survive either. I think the only one who survived is my big brother. Yun Xiao was very confident in Yun Feng. It wasn't because she was arrogant. After all, Yun Feng was the only heavenly core warrior here. Among the 4 of them, he had the highest chance of surviving. If even he couldn't survive, then the others wouldn't be able to either. The two forces collided and tore at each other. Finally, Yun Feng's attack gained the upper hand. It completely destroyed the bloody red sword beam, and the situation seemed to have become clearer. The moment the smoke and dust dissipated, a figure appeared. Although he was half kneeling on the ground, he was still alive. It's Big Brother. Yun Xiao shouted out excitedly. That's right, it was Yun Feng. In order to kill Ling Xiao, he was severely injured, and he only had half of his life left. His overall strength was greatly weakened as well, but he didn't regret it. Even if he was severely injured, as long as he didn't die, the victory would belong to him. How could this be? Chapter 4074. Qi Yaoguang couldn't believe her eyes. According to her judgment, Ling Xiao shouldn't be killed so easily. However, the current situation was that Ling Xiao's corpse was nowhere to be found. However, Yun Feng was still alive, although Yun Feng was seriously injured. After all, he was still alive. This was a victory that belonged to him. How could this be? Qi Yaoguang shook her head. The reason why she didn't want to be enemies with Ling Xiao was that she felt that Ling Xiao was very difficult to kill. But reality slapped her in the face. See, Miss Yaoguang, if you had listened to me before, your subordinate wouldn't have died. Although that guy is very talented, he's still a chick that hasn't hatched. There's nothing to worry about. Do you regret it now? Yun Xiao mocked Qi Yaoguang. Qi Yaoguang didn't refute. However, at this moment, a blazing flame suddenly rose up. Yun Xiao's laughter stopped abruptly, and her eyes were filled with horror and disbelief. Qi Yaoguang was also shocked. Within the flames, a figure appeared. He was standing behind Yun Feng. Yun Feng turned his head with difficulty, but the moment he turned his head, a sharp long sword pierced through his dantian. He was already seriously injured. In addition, he was defenseless. This sword was completely unstoppable. No, it can't be. Yun Feng's expression changed drastically, as if he had seen an evil ghost. He worked hard to fight Ling Xiao head-on with serious injuries. He thought that he had already killed Ling Xiao, but in the end it was all in vain. Ling Xiao didn't die. Surprised, right? Unfortunately, you don't have the chance to understand now. I can't defeat you, but I can kill you now. Don't you think it's infuriating? Ling Xiao looked at Yun Feng sarcastically and twisted the Dongxing sky sword in his hand. Yun Feng's vitality was rapidly draining. Let go of my brother, or I'll kill you. Yun Xiao suddenly regained her senses and roared crazily. Ling Xiao ignored her completely. There were 2 layers of defense, martial soul enchantment, and inescapable net. It was impossible for Yun Xiao to barge in. The strength of an early heavenly core warrior should be able to increase my overall strength by a lot. Yun Feng's true yuan continued to flow into Ling Xiao's body through the heavenly sword of Dongsheng. Facing Yun Feng, who was getting weaker and weaker, Yun Xiao was about to go crazy, but she couldn't do anything. Finally, Ling Xiao pulled out the East Victory heavenly sword. He kicked Yun Feng out. He didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy for such people. Yun Feng didn't care about other people's lives. Sacrificing 100,000 people was like playing a game to him. Of course, he wouldn't take Yun Feng's life seriously. After absorbing all of Yun Feng's Jinyuan and the battle just now, Yi Zichen's Jinyuan had become much stronger. Ling Xiao made another breakthrough in his cultivation. He had broken through to the mid-6th Divine Core Realm from the early 6th Divine Core Realm. Not only that, but the first layer of the 12 Divine Beast technique had also been promoted to large success. But it was still a great harvest. Ling Xiao put Yun Feng's corpse into the Dongsheng Emperor Ring. This man was the leader of the bandits, and also the evidence. If others didn't believe he killed Yun Feng, it would be hard for him to explain himself. Right at this moment, Sword Lady Azure, Lotus appeared. Zhanlong and the others had followed her here as well. They just happened to see Ling Xiao putting away Yun Feng's corpse. Witnessing this scene, a shocked expression emerged in their eyes. Ling Xiao was able to kill an early heavenly core warrior. This was really shocking. When Yun Xiao saw Sword Lady Azure Lotus, her expression changed. She quickly turned around and fled. The reason why she dared to come back was because she thought Sword Lady Azure Lotus would never come back. But now, this was out of her expectation. If she didn't run away, was she going to stay here and wait for her death? Sword Lady Azure Lotus only gazed at Yun Xiao coldly. She didn't chase after her. It wasn't that she didn't want to, but she couldn't. Although she wasn't injured in the fight just now, she had consumed a lot of her energy. If they really fought, she might not be Yun Xiao's match. Luckily, Yun Xiao was scared out of her wits, and she ran away without a fight. Ling Xiao, are you all right? Zhu Xiaohan rushed towards Ling Xiao. In this mission, the ones who had the deepest feelings for Ling Xiao were none other than Zhu Xiaohan and Zhanlong. They were also the ones who had the most pleasant cooperation. The others weren't bad either, because those who went against Ling Xiao were either dead or had quit the mission. Only Lu Qingmeng's whereabouts were unknown. I'm fine. Ling Xiao was recovering his energy. He had just used the 12 Divine Beast skill, so he had consumed a lot of his energy. Zhanlong and the others all gathered around. One after another, they chatted with each other excitedly. Brother, you're so strong. You even killed Yun Feng. What a pity. I didn't get to see the entire fight. Zhanlong said excitedly. How did you do it just now? Qi Yaoguang suddenly asked. She still didn't understand. Even a divine physique warrior couldn't come back from the dead. Ling Xiao's body was shattered into pieces just now, but he was still alive. However, he was still alive. This was too shocking. This is a secret of the martial Dao. Ling Xiao actually didn't have any bad feelings towards Qi Yaoguang. Those were two different things. The ones who dealt with him were Qi Yaoguang's subordinates, not Qi Yaoguang. But there were some things that he still couldn't say. That's true. You can't possibly tell me such a secret. Qi Yaoguang laughed bitterly, thinking of her subordinates who died without a complete corpse. She felt helpless. Ling Xiao, although I know that you will grow stronger, but you killed my subordinates after all. The enmity between us is formed. I can't kill you today, but I hope that you don't go to the Heavenly Fiend Ghost region. Otherwise, I won't let you go. Qi Yaoguang was also in pain. She knew that if she didn't kill Ling Xiao now, it would be even more impossible in the future. But those stupid subordinates of hers made her and Ling Xiao hate each other. If she didn't do anything, wouldn't those people die for nothing? Their families wouldn't let it go just like that. Actually, you don't have to be enemies with me because of their stupidity. Ling Xiao said lightly. It's too late. I just hope that you don't come to the heavenly fiend ghost region. Goodbye. Qi Yaoguang didn't want to see Ling Xiao again, because when they met again, they might become enemies. She sighed and turned to leave. Qi Yaoguang, I want to ask you about two people. Ling Xiao suddenly said. He had always wanted to know if the Divine Codex and Ling Jiaojiao were in the heavenly fiend ghost region. But he was afraid that he would anger Qi Yaoguang and be killed by her. But it was different now. With Green Lotus swordswoman here, it wouldn't be so easy for Qi Yaoguang to kill him. Speak, Qi Yaoguang said lightly. One is called the Divine Codex, the Golden Divine Codex. The other is called Ling Jiaojiao. Hearing the first name, Green Lotus swordswoman was obviously stunned because the Golden Divine Codex was the daughter of the Golden Emperor. She didn't know how Ling Xiao knew about the Divine Codex, but she didn't say anything. On the other side, Qi Yaoguang's expression also changed. Why are you asking about them? Obviously, Qi Yaoguang definitely knew these two people. Chapter 4075. Nothing. I'm just asking because I've seen her before. Ling Xiao only said that he had seen her before and didn't say anything about their relationship. He still kept a secret. Don't ask. You should know that the Golden Scripture is the daughter of your Golden Emperor. I've seen her before. Qi Yaoguang seemed to be hiding something. As for Ling Jiaojiao, if you still want to live, don't mention her name in the Heavenly Demon Ghost Region or the Golden City. After saying that, she suddenly tore through the air and left. With regret and helplessness, she came here for the Great River Star, but in the end she had to return empty-handed. This is for you. Ling Xiao released the 100,000 people trapped in the Great River Star and threw it to Qi Yaoguang. This thing was completely useless to him. Just treat it as returning a favor to Qi Yaoguang. Qi Yaoguang, don't owe you a favor. Something flew over from afar. Ling Xiao reached out to catch it and couldn't help but be overjoyed. It turned out to be a demon beast core, and it was the core of the 9 Heavens glacial dragon. He had just obtained a drop of beast god's blood from Yunfeng's body. Now he had obtained the 9 Heavens glacial dragon. As long as he could find another drop of beast god's blood, he would be able to cultivate the new 12 divine beast technique. What happened to Sister Jiaojiao? Why can't I mention her name in the Golden City or the Heavenly Demon Ghost Region? Ling Xiao was puzzled, but Ling Jiaojiao was his sister after he reincarnated, and she was the only one who was willing to help him when he was down and out. He couldn't leave Ling Jiaojiao alone. It seemed that he had to make a trip to the Heavenly Demon Ghost Region. He looked at Green Lotus swordswoman and found that she was also full of confusion. He would naturally explain this matter in detail later. Green Lotus swordswoman was good to him and was a trustworthy person. Who is that person? Zhan Long asked curiously. Also, what about the other great river bandits? That woman is called Qi Yaoguang, an expert of the Heavenly Demon Ghost Region. She came here for the Great River Star. As for the other great river bandits, I killed them all. Ling Xiao said casually. Basically, the main targets of this mission were all killed by him. Zhan Long and the others had also killed a few, right? On the other hand, the disciple of the Holy Lord, Lu Qingmeng, who is said to be the strongest, did nothing, other than joining forces with Di Ying to kill him. Boom! Suddenly, a bloody aura rushed out from the depths of Great River City. It even broke through the surface of the earth. There, a young man covered in blood stared coldly at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, isn't it time to settle our grudges? Lu Qingmeng, eldest senior brother. Everyone looked at Lu Qingmeng in astonishment, although Lu Qingmeng's cultivation had yet to break through, and he was a perfect 7th divine core warrior. But at this moment, Lu Qingmeng's body was covered with blood-red scales and ferocious barbs. The light seemed to have left him. There was only blood in his body. His combat prowess had clearly increased. He was much stronger than the combination of the blood saber and eagle claw. He was very close to breaking through to the heavenly core realm. It could even be said that he was half a step into the heavenly core realm. He wasn't as strong as a true heavenly core warrior, but he was much stronger than all earth core warriors. You actually practice the evil arts of the great river bandits, Sword Maiden Green Lotus said with a frown on her face. Humph. As the supervising angel, you won't interfere with the fight between disciples of Fighting Soul Saint City, right? Lu Qingmong let out a cold snort. Then he gazed at Sword Maiden Green Lotus indifferently. It was as if his eyes could see through everything. Besides, you've consumed a lot of your strength and you're even injured. That Yun Xiao is such an idiot, she actually ran away. But I think with her intelligence, she will figure it out soon. She will definitely come back. Therefore, you should think about what you should do next. You don't have to interfere with our business. Sword Maiden Green Lotus looked at Lu Qingmong. This young man was right about everything. She didn't look injured on the surface, but in fact her inner core was cracked. Her opponent was very strong. She killed him with brute force, but she was also severely injured. If she didn't fight now, the cracks on her inner core would slowly heal. But if she chose to fight, it would only cause her injuries to worsen. In the end, her inner core would explode and she would die. Ha ha ha, Lu Qingmong, are you blind? How could Elder Green Lotus be injured? Ling Xiao stood up. With his strength fully recovered, he walked up to Sword Maiden Green Lotus while laughing out loud. He quietly placed a pill into Sword Maiden Green Lotus's hand. Take this. It won't take long for the cracks on your inner core to heal. You don't have to worry about me. I can even kill a heavenly core warrior, let alone him. Although Ling Xiao had used Rising from the Ashes once, he still had life reversal that he hadn't used yet. If he really couldn't do it, he could use the same trick again. But after thinking about it, he didn't think it was necessary. No matter how strong Lu Qingmong was, he was just a peak Earth core warrior. There was no way he could overcome that obstacle. He wasn't a heavenly core warrior. He would definitely win. He spoke to her, using his soul. Sword Maiden Green Lotus was startled for a second. Then she accepted it. After that, she sat down with her legs crossed and started meditating. The sooner she recovered, the less of a threat Yun Xiao would pose. All right, Ling Xiao, it's time to settle the score between us. I've been hiding from you for a long time, but I was lucky I got something good. Next, it will be your doomsday. Lu Qingmong didn't hesitate to turn into a monster, all for the sake of killing Ling Xiao. Not only did Ling Xiao make him lose face, but he also made him lose face. He was also his biggest threat. If he wasn't that stupid Ling Xiao, he would be killed. Lu Qingmong, you're crazy. You wanted to team up with City Lord Ding to deal with Ling Xiao, but Ling Xiao didn't hold you responsible. Now you want to deal with him? If you want to kill him, you'll have to get past me first. Zhan Long thought Ling Xiao would be injured after the fight with Yin Feng, and he would never be Lu Qingmong's match. Therefore, he stood out. Me too. Zhu Xiaohan stood out as well. She stared at Lu Qingmong coldly and said, in this mission, you didn't help us at all, but you still ambushed Ling Xiao. You don't deserve to be our senior disciple. Sai, we're so embarrassed. Chen Xiuji sighed and stood out as well. That's right. If not for Ling Xiao stopping that river bandit, we would all be dead. One doesn't need to be too great, but one can't be ungrateful. He Ningdi also stood out. I support Ling Xiao. The last one to stand out was Daisy. Only Chen Yu was left in a daze. Since when did Ling Xiao become the backbone of these people? He was even their leader. Although she didn't hate Ling Xiao, she couldn't help Ling Xiao. She could only watch from the sidelines. After all, her brother was killed by Ling Xiao. Good. One by one, you want to betray War Soul Sacred City, betray the Sacred Lord. I think you all want to die. Lu Qingmong suddenly erupted with a terrifying aura. Zhan Long and the others couldn't resist at all and were instantly sent flying. They fell to the ground and vomited blood while looking in horror. Ling Xiao, run. Zhan Long realized how terrifying Lu Qingmong was. Chapter 4076. Lu Qingmong's formidable strength had shocked Zhanlong. At this moment, all he could think of was to ask Ling Xiao to run away. Only if Ling Xiao ran away could they have a chance to avenge Lu Qingmong. Lu Qingmong was no longer a human. She was a monster. Run away? Are you guys misunderstanding something? Ling Xiao laughed. Compared to Yunfeng, this Lu Qingmong is just a piece of trash. If I have to run away from him, how am I going to survive in the future? He gently waved his hand, and the healing pills fell into the hands of the injured men. Go and treat your wounds, it won't take long. Since he came to me, I'll just kill him. Seeing how confident Ling Xiao was, the others looked at each other, but none of them said anything. They swallowed the healing pills and started treating their wounds. I didn't expect you to be a brave man. Lu Qingmong looked at Ling Xiao with disdain and said, Too bad, you're too arrogant. You won't get anything good in the end. I should be the one saying that to you. Since you're hiding, you should continue hiding. You're looking for death when you haven't even broken through. Should I say you're stupid? Or should I say you're stupid? Ling Xiao really didn't expect Lu Qingmong to show herself. It saved him a lot of trouble, and he didn't have to waste time looking for her. Ling Xiao, can he really do it? Zhanlong was still worried. What are you afraid of? Don't forget about that. Zhu Xiaohan lowered her voice and said. Zhanlong finally understood. That's right, Ling Xiao had killed Diying. Although Diying's strength was still weaker than Lu Qingmong's, the difference wasn't that big. Anyway, he hadn't even reached the heavenly core realm yet. As for Ling Xiao killing Yunfeng, because they didn't witness it with their own eyes, they still couldn't believe it. Chunyi was curious as well. She had no idea what kind of fortuitous encounter Ling Xiao had. He was able to kill Yunfeng. It was a pity that she couldn't witness the exciting battle just now. But now, the situation was different. She could clearly see Ling Xiao's true strength. He wanted to see what was so special about Ling Xiao that he dared to accept Lu Qingmong's challenge. The battle was about to begin. Ling Xiao did not underestimate his opponent. His body entered the everlasting heavenly rat beast soul transformation. However, he did not use dual swords. He held the East Victory heavenly sword in his hand. To deal with Yunfeng, he needed 2 swords. But to deal with Lu Qingmong, there was no need for that. Actually, he was looking forward to Lu Qingmong giving him some surprises. The stronger Lu Qingmong was, the better it would be for him. The moment the transformation was completed, a terrifying aura was released. In that instant, Zhanlong and the others, who had gradually calmed down, became agitated once more. This aura was too powerful. He actually broke through? This was something they didn't know before. When Ling Xiao arrived here, he was only a peak 4th divine core warrior. But now he was a mid-6th divine core warrior. How on earth did he cultivate? How could it be so fast? Fight! Ling Xiao and Lu Qingmong finally moved. 2 afterimages were crossing each other in the air, and they kept colliding with each other. The energy that leaked out from their collision caused the air to explode with loud noises. The buildings in Great River City were shaking, and cracks kept appearing on them. So fast! Amazing! Are they evenly matched? Judging from the current situation, it seemed like both of them were evenly matched. Neither of them was at a disadvantage. But everyone knew that their initial attacks were just probing attacks. After a while, Lu Qingmong finally couldn't keep up with Ling Xiao's speed. In terms of speed, Ling Xiao was indeed superior. Also, the East Victory heavenly sword in his hand was better than Lu Qingmong's weapon. Saint Hall's blood soared 1,000 shadows. The furious Lu Qingmong had no choice but to unleash his ultimate attack. A blood-red sword energy crazily shot toward Ling Xiao. Innate celestial fiend, seal, slaughterhouse. Ling Xiao wouldn't show any weakness. The East Victory, heavenly sword in his hand, released a dazzling light. In the entire space, sword energy that was as fine as a cow's hair and that blood-red sword energy kept colliding. The 2 types of sword energy fought in the void. They were in a stalemate. A few minutes later, the 2 sword energy actually canceled each other out. But judging from the situation, Ling Xiao seemed to have the upper hand. That made everyone feel more at ease, but at the same time, they were also very surprised. They originally didn't quite believe that Ling Xiao killed Yunfeng. They felt that it should be Qi Yaoguang's doing. Therefore, they didn't have much confidence in the battle between Ling Xiao and Lu Qingmeng. But looking at it now, the situation seemed to be different from what they had imagined. Ling Xiao's performance was really amazing. Not only did he not fall into a disadvantage, but he also seemed to be gradually gaining the upper hand. Ling Xiao is indeed Ling Xiao. Elder Qinglian's eyes are really sharp. Zhan Long shook his head and smiled bitterly. Thinking about how she had just asked Ling Xiao to escape, she felt a little embarrassed. That's right. Ling Xiao wasn't this strong before, but his growth rate is too fast. With his current strength, no city lord in Fighting Soul Sacred City would be a match for him. In Fighting Soul Sacred City, he's probably the number one person after the Sacred Lord and the Disciplinary Hall's Great Elder. Zhu Xiaohan's eyes were filled with excitement. Although she knew that her love for Ling Xiao was one-sided, it was just a crush. There would almost never be a result. But she didn't care. Sometimes, having a crush was also a precious memory. Yes, he's definitely the number one person in Fighting Soul Sacred City. Chun Xiuji and He Ningdi both had the same thought. Thinking about it carefully, when they first came here, they seemed to have mocked Ling Xiao's strength. They would become a burden. However, unknowingly, Ling Xiao had become their pillar of support and even their idol. Chun Yu smiled bitterly. She already knew that she had no hope of revenge. But seeing this, she felt even more hopeless. How could she talk about revenge? Little brother, why did you provoke such a person? These people watched the exciting battle, and Ling Xiao was actually quite satisfied. In the battle with Yunfeng, he was always at a disadvantage, and in the end he even had to use rising from the ashes to scheme against his opponent. It wasn't satisfying at all, but this battle was different. It was very satisfying. Even if he didn't use the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage at all. He felt all the cells in his body roaring with joy. Lu Qingmeng didn't feel as happy as Ling Xiao. The more he fought, the more unhappy he felt. Ling Xiao was much stronger than before. He miscalculated. If it was the previous Ling Xiao, he would definitely be able to achieve a crushing victory with his current strength. However, the reality was that he could only fight to a draw with Ling Xiao for the time being. He was even suppressed by his opponent. This didn't make him afraid. Instead, it made him want to kill even more. Because if he didn't kill Ling Xiao now, he wouldn't have a chance in the future. Ling Xiao's growth was too fast, and he believed that it wouldn't be long before his cultivation would surpass his. He didn't dare to continue waiting. Chapter 4077. Martial Soul of the Sacred Hall. With a furious roar, Lu Qingmeng finally unleashed his martial soul. His martial soul was of a higher grade than most people's. It was a sacred hall. After unleashing his martial soul of the sacred hall, Ling Xiao felt as if he had fallen into a sacred space. In this space, sacred music kept echoing out, and it was able to affect his thoughts. It felt like the sacred light was trying to assimilate his true yuan and his body. It was truly terrifying. But who was Ling Xiao? Although he didn't unleash his martial soul of tyrant, his soul was still incredibly powerful. His body was also incredibly strong. An equally powerful force was unleashed from his body, blocking the sacred light. This was him. If it were any other warriors, even if they were at the perfect Earth core realm, in this sacred hall, they would most likely become Lu Qingmeng's puppet. No wonder Lu Qingmeng was so arrogant. He also possessed two martial souls. The sword martial soul was just a facade. It was only used for combat. The martial soul of the sacred hall was his true trump card. Dark beast, submit to the light. Resisting will only make you die a more miserable death. Lu Qingmeng still thought of himself as the messenger of light. It seemed like he had forgotten that he had sacrificed himself in order to become stronger. Ling Xiao looked at Lu Qingmong with disdain and said, "You should think about your god of light seeing you like this. Maybe he will die from anger. Bloodthirsty plague." If Lu Qingmong thought that Ling Xiao only had the ability to resist the sacred light, then he was wrong. Ling Xiao wasn't used to being beaten up all the time. Even when facing a mighty warrior like Yun Feng, he was still thinking about how to fight back. Let alone Lu Qingmong. The bloodthirsty plague had obviously become stronger than before, especially after breaking through to the sixth divine core realm. Ling Xiao had noticed this. In the past, as long as someone was stronger than him, they would be able to use a portion of their true yuan to suppress the bloodthirsty plague. But now, most of them couldn't do it. The bloodthirsty plague would constantly corrode their bodies. Even if they tried their best to resist, they could only slow down the rate of corrosion. They couldn't completely suppress it. Blood red light and pure white light intertwined together. It was a clash of holiness and evil. Zhanlong and the others were dazzled. "Is this poison? What a joke. You think I'm poisoned?" Lu Qingmong didn't take Ling Xiao's bloodthirsty plague seriously at all. He thought it was just an ordinary poison. She couldn't do anything to him. Therefore, he only used his true essence to force the red light back. He thought that everything was fine, but he didn't know. The tiny plague was eating away at his body from the inside. He continuously transferred his true essence, qi and blood into Ling Xiao's body. This process was like a pathological change. At first, he didn't feel it was too serious. By the time he could feel it, it was already an incurable disease. Ling Xiao had modified the bloodthirsty plague based on his experience. In the past, he had used too much medicine, causing the enemy to react strongly and completely suppress the bloodthirsty plague. This was called boiling a frog in warm water. By the time the frog felt the water was hot, it wouldn't be able to jump out. To Ling Xiao, the enemy's underestimation was a blessing, and the fiercer the enemy's attack, the faster and stronger the bloodthirsty plague's damage. Ling Xiao didn't want to give Lu Qingmong a chance to notice. After releasing the bloodthirsty plague, he started to attack. The two of them once again fell into a frenzied battle. Sometimes it was so fast that Zhanlong and the others couldn't see it clearly. Zhanlong wanted to ask Green Lotus Swordswoman, but he found that she was still healing. He had no choice but to endure. Holy light descends. Purify evil. Holy light sword. Although the blood pool's energy made Lu Qingmong stronger, he was still a martial artist from the Heaven Holy Land. The martial arts techniques he learned were all brought from the Heaven Holy Land. Therefore, at the critical moment, it was still these martial arts techniques. The power of this move was extremely strong. It had already reached the level of a peak 7th level Emperor martial arts technique. Even Qi Yaoguang's subordinates couldn't use this martial arts technique. The moment the holy light descends, Ling Xiao felt like he was looking at birdmen with wings on their backs. These birdmen held holy swords and released white sword light towards him. Ling Xiao snorted coldly. Holding the East Victory Sky sword, he attacked without fear. Innate Fiend God Seal. 10,000 beasts become one. With the enhancement of the East Victory Sky sword, the power of Ling Xiao's move was almost at the peak of the 7th level Emperor martial arts technique. If Zhanlong and the others were worried about Ling Xiao before, at this moment, there was no longer any trace of worry on their faces, because Ling Xiao's face was blooming with a confident smile from the beginning. And this sword directly destroyed Lu Qingmong's holy light sword. The bloody light was so strong that it almost filled the entire holy hall. Too strong. Is this Ling Xiao? I feel like he's just toying with Lu Qingmong. Hinajiku couldn't help but say, this girl didn't speak often, but when she did, she would get to the point. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Ling Xiao is getting stronger and stronger in this battle. But Lu Qingmong's power seems to be weakening and the speed isn't slow. Zhu Xiaohan also analyzed. It must be the work of that bloody light. Zhanlong said, Ling Xiao, this brat, actually has this kind of skill. It's really amazing. Lu Qingmeng's face became more and more gloomy. It was even a little pale. He suddenly felt that his qi seemed to have disappeared by a lot. His qi and blood couldn't keep up with his usage. At this moment, he realized that something was wrong. Unfortunately, it was too late. At this moment, he was much weaker than before. One had to know that he couldn't do anything to Ling Xiao even when he was at his strongest. Let alone now. He was scared. You monster. Lu Qingmeng finally realized that Ling Xiao wasn't a genius or a monster at all. He was a monster, a freak, an existence that couldn't be judged with common sense. I'm honored that you can call me that, but unfortunately you can't arouse my interest now. Because you've consumed too much, you've become too weak. A battle with you can no longer bring me any benefits. If I want to kill you, you won't object, right? To be honest, Ling Xiao was starting to regret using the bloodthirsty rat plague. The bloodthirsty rat plague was too heaven-defying, and its ability to weaken his enemies was even more terrifying than before. There was no need to use it against someone like Lu Qingmeng. Because of that, he couldn't arouse his interest anymore. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. Lu Qingmeng suddenly laughed out wildly. Don't you think it's too early to be happy? While laughing, Lu Qingmeng crushed his own inner core. He didn't use it to self-destruct, he used it to attack. This was a common technique used by divine core warriors to perish together with their enemies. Lu Qingmeng knew that he was no match for Ling Xiao right now, but he couldn't stand it anymore. He had to kill Ling Xiao, even if he had to become a cripple. Chapter 4078. What's going on? Is Lu Qingmeng crazy? Why is he using his core to unleash his full strength? Doesn't he know that even if he can defeat Ling Xiao by doing this, he will become a cripple? Chun Yu said in surprise. It's not that he's crazy. Ling Xiao is just too strong. That's why he had no choice but to do this. If not, there's no way he can defeat Ling Xiao. Zhan Long said with a frown on his face. He had just calmed down a moment ago, but now his heart was in his throat again. After all, if a warrior like Lu Qingmeng really wanted to fight with his life on the line, it would be very frightening. I never expected Ling Xiao to be so strong. Daisy murmured to herself. Right at this moment, Sword Maiden Azure Lotus opened her eyes as well. A joyful expression could be seen in her eyes. Ling Xiao's growth was much better than she had imagined. The bloodthirsty plague was used at the perfect time. Unknowingly, he had caused his enemy to lose a huge amount of combat strength. Amazing! A genius like this, once he grew up, let alone the Black Tortoise continent, perhaps the entire mystic world would tremble because of him. Senior disciple Zhan Long. I'm worried that Ling Xiao won't be able to stop him. Using this method to fight, Lu Qingmeng's combat strength will instantly reach the early heavenly core realm. I'm afraid Ling Xiao is in danger. Zhu Xiaohan said anxiously. It's equivalent to the early heavenly core realm, but it's still not the heavenly core realm. Don't worry too much. Zhan Long shook his head and said, furthermore, all we can do now is pray for him. In this situation, there's nothing we can do to change anything. Besides, we still have Elder Azure Lotus. If Ling Xiao is really in danger, I believe he'll help. Zhu Xiaohan looked at Sword Maiden Azure Lotus and finally let out a sigh of relief. If there was anyone here who could save Ling Xiao from danger at this critical moment, it would be that person. It could only be Sword Maiden Azure Lotus. No one else could do it. Lu Qingmeng, why do you have to do this? Zhan Long let out a sigh. They were after all from the same sect, and at this moment he too felt slightly sad. He felt that Lu Qingmeng was too impulsive. How could he have known that the main culprit who caused Lu Qingmeng to become like this was his master, the Holy Lord Di Tuatian? Can't you come up with something new? The Naiden was such a precious thing, yet he detonated it just like that. TSK, looks like you've really run out of tricks. Facing everything that Lu Qingmeng had done, Ling Xiao remained absolutely calm. He had seen this kind of attack before. Therefore, he was not surprised. He was just a little disappointed in Lu Qingmong, this so-called genius. Whether it's a new trick or not, it's enough to kill you. At this moment, Lu Qingmong naturally wouldn't listen to anything Ling Xiao said. He wanted to die together with Ling Xiao wholeheartedly. Even if he had to die, he would not hesitate. Back then, the sacred leader had rescued him from the wilderness and brought him back to Fighting Soul Sacred City. The mission given to him by the Holy Lord was to kill Ling Xiao. If he couldn't even do this, then wouldn't that be disrespectful to the sacred leader? Wouldn't that be a failure? As a proud person, he couldn't accept such a failure. His blood-red eyes revealed the cruelest expression in the world. "You must die!" Lu Qingmong roared. "There's no need to be so loud. We'll see who lives and who dies later. You won't get the upper hand just because you're loud." Ling Xiao realized that Lu Qingmong was going all out, but he didn't care. He also took out the Dongsheng demon sword, the Dongsheng heaven sword in his right hand and the Dongsheng demon sword in his left. The domineering and demonic aura once again enveloped his entire body. At this moment, Ling Xiao was like an unparalleled demon god. Everyone could feel his terrifying battle intent. Lu Qingmong's expression didn't change. He had already given up everything, including his life. What was there to be afraid of? Violent inner energy began to surge into the weapon in his hand. The sacred sword, the sword of light, flashed with two colors, blood red and white. It seemed to be fusing. Let me show you the true might of the Sacred Palace. Sacred Palace wasn't just the name of his martial soul. It was the martial skill that Lu Qingmong had been cultivating with all his might. But too bad this martial skill was an 8th grade Emperor Realm martial skill, and only those who had reached the 8th grade Divine Core Realm could use it. This was the reason why he hadn't used it yet. But now he had detonated his inner core, releasing all the inner energy within. All of it was used to form this skill. Even the energy within the blood pool was used. The white sacred palace slowly turned blood red, but it still emitted a holy aura. It was contradictory, but at the same time, unified. This skill is the fusion of my ultimate martial skill and the energy of the blood pool. Are you still not going to die? Blood sacred palace, holy land. The sword in his hand shattered. It fused with the sacred palace martial soul. The blood-red sacred palace had assimilated the sky and the earth. The entire world had turned blood-red. Holy music kept ringing out from the sacred palace. Zhanlong and the others quickly backed off, because when they heard the music, they felt like kneeling down before Lu Qingmong. The feeling of obeying Lu Qingmong's orders. It was a terrifying feeling. It made it hard for them to calm down. After unleashing this skill, Lu Qingmong fell to the ground like a pile of mud. He had used all of his strength to unleash this skill. If he couldn't succeed, he would have completely failed today. But he believed he could succeed. This skill had used all of his combat strength. It would be strange if Ling Xiao could withstand it. The strength of the blood sacred palace was still growing. It was as if it was absorbing all the energy around it. The terrifying and oppressive feeling made Ling Xiao furrow his brows. But he didn't think too much about it. He was still focusing on forming his skill. Blood heavenly drill rat. And it was a fully matured blood heavenly drill rat. The aura of blood and slaughter gathered around his swords. The true energy in his body crazily surged into the swords like a tidal wave. Zhanlong and the others were staring at this scene. A bell rang within the blood-sacred palace. A dazzling light fell from the sky, but no one could see what it was. But Zhanlong and the others directly knelt on the ground. Only Green Lotus, Swordswoman, and Ling Xiao remained standing. Even though Ling Xiao felt very uncomfortable, but he still held on. The beast god martial soul behind him was roaring. It was a crazy roar, as if it was resisting that terrifying pressure. It's a pity for Lu Qingmong. Green Lotus, Swordswoman sighed. Even she had to admit that Lu Qingmong was definitely a talent. If she was killed by Ling Xiao, it would be a huge loss for the Golden Sky region. This skill was too powerful. Martial artists of the same cultivation level couldn't resist at all. She gently waved her hand, and Zhanlong and the others stood up again. The pressure was reduced. Elder Green Lotus, can Ling Xiao block it? Zhanlong asked worriedly. Of course. Green Lotus, swordswoman, was very confident. This was because she felt an even more terrifying power from Ling Xiao's body. Chapter 4079. Boom! That blood-red light finally exploded. A knight appeared in the sky. It was a true knight. A blood-red armor covered his entire body. A pair of blood-red wings grew out of his back. He was 4 to 5 meters tall, holding a long sword in his hand and another long sword at his waist. His cold eyes revealed a feeling of looking down on all living things. At the same time, the blood chi on Ling Xiao's 2 swords had already condensed into the image of the blood-drilling rat. The will to kill roared in the entire space. The sacred hall seemed to be about to collapse because of this. Facing the extremely terrifying Blood Templar Knight, Ling Xiao's heart was strangely calm. He was strangely confident. The souls of the 2 swords had also merged their power into the blood-drilling rat. It made the blood-drilling rat let out a satisfied roar. Ling Xiao felt that what he was holding in his hands was no longer a sword. It was a vicious beast that could even drill through the sky. Zhanlong and the others watched quietly. They felt their hearts beating faster and faster. Who would have thought that Ling Xiao would be so strong that he could face Lu Qingmeng's all-out attack, and the power to resist? At this moment, Ling Xiao seemed to have broken away from the category of human and turned into a god that could make vicious beasts bow their heads and listen to him. As the energy continued to condense, the blood continued to fuse. The blood-drilling rat's appearance became more and more realistic, and more ferocious. Too shocking for Zhanlong and the others. This was simply a battle of 2 different dimensions. Whether it was Ling Xiao or Lu Qingmeng, they were both beyond their imagination. As mentioned before, the 12 Divine Beasts technique didn't have any fixed moves. If one had to describe it, there was only one move: shape-shifting attack. It could borrow the power of the 12 Divine Beasts to attack the enemy. However, this move could become stronger as Ling Xiao continued to grow stronger. This was the strength of the 12 Divine Beasts technique. Evil Beast! Seeing the blood-drilling rat's appearance, the Blood Templar Knight suddenly roared. A violent aura swept through the entire Sacred Hall. The Sacred Hall's buildings began to collapse. Bloody Knights, kill him! Kill Ling Xiao! Lu Qingmeng lay there, madly shouting with all her remaining strength. Ling Xiao looked at the Bloody Knight coldly. He was indeed very strong. He was almost as strong as Yunfeng. But in the end, he was just about to reach that level, so he wasn't afraid. Go! Blood Heaven-piercing rat. Use your blood to devour the traitor of the Templar Hall. Ling Xiao said in a low voice. Ling Xiao's sun god position erupted with the aura of a god, and in that world of slaughter, blood light soared into the sky. The condensed blood heavenly drill rat instantly grew in size, almost turning into a monster that blotted out the sky. The huge underground world was about to be filled up. Roar! The crimson blood drill rat let out a huge roar and charged out. It contained the most terrifying killing intent. With a bloody aura that filled the sky, he rushed towards the blood-colored Holy Knight. The Templar Knight suddenly thrust out his spear. Holy light gushed out from the spear, but in the next moment, the holy light was contaminated. It was completely enveloped and eroded by a bloody mist. The blood heavenly drill rat actually bit the blood-colored Holy Knight's body. He frantically waved his hands and punched the soles of his feet. He let out a shrill scream. So what if it was holy light? So what if it was a god? It still couldn't resist the terrifying beast, because the black tortoise continent belonged to the beast god. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the arrogant Templar knight was completely swallowed by the blood heavenly drill rat. It instantly transformed into Ling Xiao's power. The Templar hull began to collapse, but the blood heavenly drill rat didn't complete its mission and still pounced towards Lu Qingmong. Lu Qingmong must die. This was Ling Xiao's will, not only because Lu Qingmong saw him kill Diying. More importantly, Lu Qingmong really wanted to kill him. Since she wanted to kill him, there was no need for him to be polite. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Let Lu Qingmong completely disappear from this world. Too powerful. Zhan Long stood up, somewhat excited. It was finally going to end. Although he sympathized with Lu Qingmong, he wouldn't plead for mercy. Lu Qingmong had the time to hide. He even had the time to return to fighting Seoul's sacred city. But he didn't. He chose to kill Ling Xiao. He even destroyed his own inner core. It was all a lie. He deserved to die. No one could help him. No one could save him. He could only watch as the blood-colored holy knight was easily torn apart by Ling Xiao's attack. Even the Templar hull collapsed. Lu Qingmong was completely dumbfounded. How much did he believe in his attack? He even thought that even a heavenly core warrior wouldn't dare to take his attack head-on. But too bad, he thought too much. He thought too highly of himself. Was he going to die? At this moment, Lu Qingmong couldn't even move, let alone dodge or defend. His heart sank into complete despair. The gap between them was too big. He thought that Ling Xiao was weaker than him, but in fact the gap between him and Ling Xiao was huge. He even felt that Ling Xiao hadn't used his true strength yet. There was still a terrifying energy in Ling Xiao's body. Once that energy was unleashed, he would die a horrible death. Perhaps he wouldn't even be able to use his last Templar hull. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Lu Qingmong didn't want to die. Even at this point, he still wanted to live. I'm from the heavenly sacred land. I'm the one who represents light. I can't die. Never. Ling Xiao, you can't kill me. You can't kill me. Although Lu Qingmong was exhausted, he still screamed crazily. Suddenly, Yun Xiao appeared. She didn't attack Sword Maiden Green Lotus, but instead, she pounced towards Lu Qingmong. She wanted to save Lu Qingmong. You finally showed up? The Green Lotus swordswoman's lips curled into a smile. I told you to leave obediently. Don't come back. But you didn't listen. Now I'll send you to your death. As she spoke, she released a beam of Green Lotus sword chi. Yun Xiao was shocked. Impossible, aren't you injured? Yun Xiao panicked. She hurriedly turned around and fled. She wanted to save Lu Qingmong, but now she gave up. This woman was quite good at running away. Even the Green Lotus sword chi couldn't catch up to her. But in this short delay, the blood-drilling rat had already landed on Lu Qingmong's body. Lu Qingmong was reduced to ashes. He was completely killed. No one knew that in the distant, heavenly sacred land, a certain supreme existence suddenly opened his eyes while meditating. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect that the light seed I painstakingly nurtured would be killed. Who is it that can do this? There was a trace of coldness in his eyes. No matter who it was, they dared to destroy my light seed and injure me. Chapter 4080. The light seed was created by this heaven-sacred land expert with his own blood and sweat. Then it was directly injected into the unborn child. Once the child was born, it would be occupied by the light seed. It would become one of his clones. Then it would slowly grow. The experience it absorbed would also be obtained by his main body. Lu Qingmong's light seed was growing well, although it wasn't the best one. But it also had the opportunity to cultivate in the Golden City. This way, it wouldn't be long before the heaven-sacred land ruled over the Golden Sky region. However, the sudden appearance of this fellow completely disrupted his rhythm. He even ruined his plan. It was as if the beautiful and outstanding daughter that he had painstakingly raised was ruined by a scoundrel. That kind of grievance, that kind of depression, it was really unbearable. But of course, Ling Xiao didn't know about this. After killing Lu Qingmong, he was in a good mood. Ling Xiao, your performance this time was really outstanding. I will report everything to the higher-ups. But I need to remind you, let's not talk about the Golden City, just the 3,000 sacred cities. You're already at the top of the 1 billion disciples. You're a powerful character. But you also need to understand that Lu Qingmang's best ranking was only 500. In other words, even if you defeated Lu Qingmang, there are still hundreds of young disciples who are stronger than you. You must guard against arrogance and rashness. The Golden City will give you priority based on your results this time, but you have to be in the top 3 for that to be possible. You have to know that the Golden City only selects 1 disciple from the 3,000 sacred cities every year. Green Lotus Swordswoman's words were naturally because she was worried that Ling Xiao was too arrogant. After all, this time's battle against the Great River Bandits was a complete victory. It was hard for people to not be arrogant. She needed to remind Ling Xiao in advance, so that Ling Xiao wouldn't make a mistake in the future. Don't worry, Elder Green Lotus, I know what to do. Ling Xiao obviously wouldn't be arrogant because he had encountered stronger enemies. He also knew that he had to continue to become stronger to be able to save the people he wanted to save. Arrogance, that didn't exist. Facing the powerful Eternal Palace and savage Beast Region, he couldn't be arrogant even if he wanted to. That's good. You can return to Fighting Soul Sacred City first. I will protect you from the shadows. Green Lotus Swordswoman smiled, although there shouldn't be any danger here. However, since the mission had been completed, there was no need for him to stay. After she finished speaking, Green Lotus Swordswoman disappeared. Ling Xiao smiled and asked everyone to leave. The current him had become the leader of these people, especially after killing Lu Qingmang. His prestige also reached the peak. This was a huge change. One had to know that when they first arrived, Ling Xiao was even thought to be the guy who was most likely to drag them down. But now, not only did he not drag them down, he even became the strongest. If not for Ling Xiao, this quest would not have been completed. Everyone chatted excitedly as they hurried along. After completing the mission, everyone was in a good mood for a short moment of relaxation. Ling Xiao, have you thought about how you're going to explain this to the Holy Lord? Zhanlong asked worriedly. I'll deal with whatever comes my way. What am I afraid of? Furthermore, as long as you don't say anything, who will know it was me who killed Diying and Lu Qingmang? Ling Xiao smiled. He didn't think it was a big deal at all. That so-called Holy Lord was only at the 8th Divine Core Realm, although he might not have a chance to win right now. Escaping wasn't a problem for him. Who could do anything to him? Not to mention, he had Green Lotus Swordswoman, Old Ancestor Scarlet Flame, and Zhao Fengyin behind him. He didn't need to worry at all. You're right. Zhanlong was no longer worried. If anyone dares to say anything, I, Zhanlong, will be the first to teach them a lesson. The group continued their journey. The way back was similar to the way they came. They returned to the coordinates they came from, and then opened the portal to go back. The portal was opened by a talisman. Ling Xiao got this talisman from Diying. On the way back to Fighting Soul Sacred City, Ling Xiao kept thinking about what Qi Yaoguang said. The Golden Divine Codex and Ling Jiaojiao might have encountered some trouble in the Heavenly Demon and Ghost region, although he wasn't sure about this trouble. But he had to make a trip to that place. If he didn't know where the Golden Divine Codex and Ling Jiaojiao were, he wouldn't be in a hurry. But now that he knew, he couldn't waste any more time. Since he had a powerful backer, he could go to the Golden City if he wanted to. Not to mention the Heavenly Devil Ghost region. The Heavenly Devil Ghost region covered a huge area, almost the same as the Golden Heavenly region. There should be a core place there. It seemed to be the Heavenly Devil City. As for other places, Ling Xiao wasn't afraid of them. Even if he couldn't go anywhere, no one could deal with him. After he was done with the things at hand, he prepared to leave. The mission carried out by the 3,000 sacred cities wasn't simple. There were many casualties. Some sacred cities were completely annihilated. Most of the sacred cities didn't manage to complete the mission. What Fighting Soul sacred city did this time was actually one of the best, although many of their disciples died. But the mission was completed beautifully. They saved 100,000 people and eliminated the pirates. With this result, even if they weren't first place, they were definitely in the top 10. The moment they came out of the teleportation gate, they saw the black mass of people outside the Fighting Soul sacred city. This was to welcome their triumphant return. Because the results were good, everyone had a smile on their faces. Today, the Fighting Soul sacred city was out in full force. It was unknown how many years had passed since they had obtained such good results. Even Di Tuatien seemed to have forgotten about the death of his disciple, and his face was full of smiles. Sacred Lord, City Lord, General, Commander, and many ordinary disciples. Even the 3 old guys from the punishment hall were here. They still didn't know what happened during the mission. Ling Shao sighed. If the Sacred Lord knew that his 4 most valued disciples were all dead, one of them was a spy of the Great River Bandits, how would he feel? It would be best if he died of anger and he didn't have to do anything. And the 3 elders of the punishment hall, they had always wanted him to die. This time he came back alive. The other party would be very disappointed. Of course, most people didn't know that Ling Shao was the main contributor to this mission. The others were all just bystanders. They were still looking for Lu Qingmong and the others in the crowd. When Ling Shao and the others came closer, the 3rd elder of the punishment hall walked out. He looked at Ling Shao mockingly and said, "I didn't expect a trash like you to still be alive. This time, you must be basking in the glory of others, right? You still have the face to walk at the front. Don't you know how to write the word shame? Xingwu, what are you doing?" Since the mission was completed, Ling Shao is also one of the contributors. What's going on here? Why are you questioning me so fiercely the moment you arrive? Chapter 4081. Jiang Nan wasn't happy with what Xingwu said. Currently, Jiang Nan had broken through to the early 8th divine core realm. However, she didn't show it off. She had been hiding her true strength. But with the increase in her cultivation base, she was confident. Her current cultivation base was all thanks to Ling Zhao's pills. Naturally, she had to protect her disciple with all her strength. Hero? Ha 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 ha. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by others? The 2nd elder of the law enforcement palace stood out while laughing. But today is a happy day. I, Xinghu, am too lazy to argue with you. Where is Qingmong? He is the biggest hero of this mission. We have already prepared the best banquet to welcome him back. Not only Xingwu and Xinghu, even the other warriors didn't put Ling Shao in their eyes. The only ones who could still protect Ling Shao were the people from Jiangnan Palace. I'm sorry, Lu Qingmong is dead. Ling Shao looked at Xinghu with a mocking expression. Biggest hero? That bastard Lu Qingmong has caused us a lot of trouble in completing the mission. You, what nonsense are you talking about? Xinghu furiously said. On the other hand, the Holy Lord Di Tuatian's expression became even uglier. Not only did Ling Shao say Lu Qingmong was dead, he also said Lu Qingmong had affected the progress of the mission. This wasn't a good thing. Not only was it a slap to his face, it might even affect his position as the Holy Lord. Ling Shao, speak clearly, Di Tuatian coldly said. That's right, it's not up to you to speak nonsense. All the others were furious. Jiang Nan was surprised as well. Lu Qingmong was dead. This was too unexpected. What's there to say? Not only is Lu Qingmong dead, but Luo, Huangquan, and Guili are all dead. Oh, and that Mo Billion, she's dead as well. Ling Shao said with disdain. Speaking of which, the losses in this mission are really bad. While speaking, his eyes were staring at Di Tuatian's face. He wanted to see how Di Tuatian's expression would change. Although Di Tuatian was a man with great self-restraint, he knew how to endure. But when he heard what Jiang Nan said, he was furious. Boom! A terrifying aura was released from his body. Many of the ordinary disciples nearby were sent flying. All of these ordinary disciples were divine core warriors. Some even fainted from the shock. It was enough to show how terrifying Di Tuatian was. Sacred Lord, don't be angry. These people are all trash. That Gui Li is a spy of the Great River Bandits. Not only will his death not have any negative impact on Fighting Soul Sacred City, it will only make us stronger. Ling Xiao continued to speak as if he could not see Di Tuatian's anger. Zhanlong, what's going on? Di Tuatian roared. Reporting to the Holy Lord, the details are simply too complicated. In short, what Ling Xiao said was true. That ghost Li almost led us into a trap, causing us to be completely annihilated. Fortunately, Junior Brotherling's eyes were as sharp as torches, and he saw through this person's identity. That's how we managed to avoid the crisis. However, Lu Qingmong didn't believe Junior Brotherling's words and trusted Ghost Li, causing us to be trapped. It was Junior Brotherling who saved us again. However, not only were Lu Qingmong, Bai Luo, and Huang Quan ungrateful, they even ambushed Junior Brotherling while he was fighting with the Great River Bandits. In the end, Bai Luo and Huang Quan died in the trap. Lu Qingmong was also killed by the Great River Bandits. What Zhanlong said was both true and false. Of course, he wouldn't easily tell them that Ling Xiao killed Lu Qingmong. Once he told them Di Tuatian wouldn't be reasonable, he would just attack. This is impossible, Di Tuatian roared. Many people were so scared that they knelt down. However, those who returned in triumph were standing firm. After being suppressed by the Green Lotus swordswoman, this holy master didn't seem to be much. Sacred Lord, it's all true. He Ningdi, Chen Xiuji, Zhu Shaohan, and Hinajiku all said at the same time. Only Qinyu didn't say anything, but she didn't refute either. Although they all knew it was a lie, no one could expose it. Once it was exposed, not only would Ling Xiao be in trouble, even they would be implicated because of this. Not only were they saved by Ling Xiao, they didn't want to betray Ling Xiao, they would also be implicated. They weren't stupid enough to tell the truth. This is impossible. Absolutely impossible. Where's Diying? Where's Diying? Wasn't he the leader? Why is he missing as well? Don't tell me even Diying is dead. Di Tuatian was on the verge of exploding in anger. That's right, the leader was accidentally betrayed by that traitor Guili, and he fell into the enemy's trap. He was killed by the Great River Bandits. That Great River Bandits is a heavenly core warrior. Even City, Lord Diying, is no match for him. Zhanlong made up his mind and lied until the end. How did Diying die? Only 3 people knew the truth. One of them was Ling Xiao, and the other 2 were Zhanlong and Zhu Shaohan. If they didn't say anything, the truth would never be exposed. Since Zhanlong had lied, Ling Xiao didn't say anything else. He was still no match for Di Tuatian, and he couldn't hide the truth for long. He would hide it for as long as he could. Once he rose to power, even if Di Tuatian knew the truth, he wouldn't be able to do anything. I can't believe even Mayor Di is dead. Everyone was shocked. Just how terrifying was the enemy this time? It was a miracle that these people could complete the mission. Great River Bandits. Humph. Di Tuatian believed Zhanlong, because he didn't expect Ling Xiao to be able to kill Diying with his strength. Saint Lord, you don't have to be so angry. The Great River Bandits dug their own graves. We've killed all of them. This is the body of the Great River Bandits. Great River Bandits. Yin Feng. Ling Xiao took out the body from the Dongsheng Emperor ring and threw it out. It caused an uproar. You killed him? Jiang Nen asked in surprise. Even though she thought she knew Ling Xiao the best, she didn't expect Ling Xiao to be able to kill Yin Feng. I just played a little trick. It's not my true strength. Ling Xiao said modestly. It doesn't matter if you're a little despicable when dealing with people like him. It's good that you've won. Jiang Nan said excitedly, you all saw it. My disciple, Ling Xiao, is the biggest contributor to this mission. What else do you have to say for looking down on him? No one dared to utter a word. Xing Wu and Xing Hu, who were arrogant before, shut their mouths. Even sacred Master Di Tuatian couldn't refute. All right, there's no need to say anything more. You've completed the mission and performed well. However, it's also a fact that you didn't protect your teammates. There's no need for a celebration. Let's go. Di Tuatian only had one thought now, which was to immediately send people to investigate what happened during the mission. He felt that there was something fishy going on. He even suspected that the supervising angel, Green Lotus Swordswoman, had interfered. Otherwise, Ling Xiao alone wouldn't have been able to do it. Even if he had used some unconventional means, he wouldn't have been able to kill Yunfeng. Sacred Master, you're too stingy. Isn't that too disappointing? Chapter 4082. Ling Xiao said coldly, the 3,000 holy cities have a great disparity in strength. It wasn't easy for our Fighting Soul Sacred City to be ranked above average. If we complete this mission successfully, our ranking will definitely go up. You canceled the celebration banquet because your disciple died in battle. Let me ask you, do you really deserve to be a sacred lord? The competition between the 3,000 holy cities was very fierce. According to the rules of the Golden City, wars could even break out between the holy cities. They could annex or destroy other holy cities. The total number of the 3,000 holy cities would not change, but some would become stronger and some would be destroyed. New holy cities would be born. The completion of this mission was only a small test for the competition between the 3,000 holy cities. However, this test did allow Fighting Soul Sacred City to achieve a breakthrough. Ling Xiao was just unhappy with the Sacred Lord and those who targeted him. He did not have much resentment toward Fighting Soul Sacred City. Even the day he stepped into Fighting Soul Sacred City, he treated it as his home. Otherwise, he would not have risked his life to complete the mission this time. After knowing Green Lotus Swordswoman, he could have directly asked her to let him enter the Golden City through the back door. There was no need to take Fighting Soul Sacred City seriously. However, he did not do that. Firstly, he did not have the habit. Secondly, he still had feelings for Fighting Soul Sacred City, especially those people in Jiangnan Palace. They were very good to him. I also think that Ling Xiao is right. Since the Sacred Lord does not want to hold this celebration banquet, Jiangnan Palace will take care of it. Jiangnan said lightly, everyone has worked hard. Feel free to come to Jiangnan Palace to eat and drink. I will pay for all the expenses today. When she was not strong enough, Jiangnan never had any improper thoughts. However, now that she had broken through, she also had a different view of Di Tuatian. A person like Di Tuatian was not qualified to continue being the Sacred Lord of Fighting Soul Sacred City. It was not because of what happened today, but because Di Tuatian had always only poached the obedient disciples to his side. As for the rest, he did not care at all. If you were just a city lord, it would not matter. However, if you were the Sacred Lord, this would not do. Jiang Nan also wanted to be the Sacred Lord. When she was strong enough, she would naturally consider this. It was necessary to win over these outstanding people who had returned after completing this mission. Di Tuatian didn't want it, but she did. Humph! Whoever dares to attend Jiangnan Palace Hall's celebration banquet can forget about becoming my disciple in the future. As for those who are already my disciples, immediately scram. Di Tuatian had steeled his heart. Ha ha ha, Di Tuatian, you don't seem to be as impressive as before. How did a puny little city lord make you so embarrassed? Suddenly, a loud laugh came from afar. Everyone turned to look in surprise. A white-haired old man brought a few young people with him as he flew through the air. Bai Jianhai. When Di Tuatian saw this person, his face turned gloomy. The newcomer was the Holy Lord of Sword Spirit Sacred City, Bai Jianhai. He was slightly stronger than Di Tuatian. The young men behind Bai Jianhai had higher cultivation than the disciples of Fighting Soul Sacred City. The strongest among them had touched the edge of the heavenly core realm, and he might break through at any moment. As for the other three, They were all at the complete Earth Core realm. Their strength was not any weaker than the leaders of the Great River Bandits. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao in Fighting Soul Sacred City, the overall strength of Fighting Soul Sacred City would be no match for these guys. Bai Jianhai's sudden arrival made Di Tuatian ignore Jiang Nan's words. He looked at the white-haired old man coldly and asked, Bai Jianhai, why are you here in Fighting Soul Sacred City? Why are you asking when you already know the answer? Your Fighting Soul Sacred City has always been above my Sword Spirit Sacred City. You've even killed many of my disciples. Even the previous Saint Lord of my Sword Spirit Sacred City died at your hands. Now, our Sword Spirit Sacred City is ranked within the top 500. This time, my new disciple has completed the mission given to him by the higher-ups in one fell swoop. I'm sure it won't be a problem for him to be ranked within the top 300. Don't you know why I'm here in Fighting Soul Sacred City? Are you here to show off? Di Tuatian sneered and said, Too bad you've come to the wrong place. This time, our Fighting Soul Sacred City has also completed the mission perfectly. Our Fighting Soul Sacred City's ranking will definitely be within the top 500. Although we're still not as good as your Sword Spirit Sacred City, we're not far behind. You want to slap my face? Ridiculous. Di Tuatian didn't expect that he would have to rely on Ling Xiao to gain face for himself. That kind of feeling wasn't very good, but he had to do it, because if he didn't do it, he would be ridiculed by this guy called Bai Jianhai until he couldn't show his face. How is that possible? I heard that your disciple Lu Qingmong was killed by the Great River Bandits. How did you complete the mission? Bai Jianhai didn't just come here to humiliate Di Tuatian. He wanted to use this opportunity to destroy Fighting Soul Sacred City. However, this accident caught him off guard. He had only heard that Di Tuatian's 4 disciples were dead. He came here in a hurry and didn't even investigate clearly. Bai Jianhai, my Fighting Soul Sacred City doesn't only have the Holy Lord's disciples. Jiang Nan soared into the air and looked at Bai Jianhai coldly. If she wanted to become the Holy Lord of Fighting Soul Sacred City, she had to perform well. This was also the request of Sword Maiden Qinglian. Who do you think you are to have the qualifications to talk to this Holy Lord? Bai Jianhai sneered. Then he waved his hand and unleashed a powerful energy wave. In his mind, Jiang Nan was just the Holy Lord of Fighting Soul Sacred City. There was no way she could block his attack. Even if she didn't die, she would be severely injured. However, what happened next shocked him greatly. Jiang Nan lightly waved her hand and shattered Bai Jianhai's attack. Is this how the Holy Lord of Sword Soul Sacred City should behave? Jiang Nan said coldly, Heavenly Core Realm. Seeing Jiang Nan's performance, everyone was shocked. Since when did the Fighting Soul Saint City have another Heavenly Core Warrior? No wonder this girl dared to talk back to me. But how did she do it? Di Tuatian furrowed his brows. He didn't look happy at all. Bai Jianhai's expression became even worse. He was alone. Obviously, he was no match for Di Tuatian and Jiang Nan. Great! Fighting Soul Sacred City is really surprising. Bai Jianhai didn't attack again, but he was anxious. Although there were peak Earth Core Warriors in Sword Soul Sacred City, breaking through to the Heavenly Core Realm wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time. Bai Jianhai looked down at the crowd. Suddenly, he looked at Ling Xiao. Di Tuatian, let's settle our past grudges in the future. But today, I have to ask someone for you. Who? Di Tuatian asked. If he could avoid fighting with Bai Jianhai, Di Tuatian would be more than willing to do so. It's him. Bai Jianhai suddenly pointed his finger at Ling Xiao and said, This guy, he killed someone from my Bai family. I only want him, then I can leave. What do you think? Di Tuatian furrowed his brows.